Welcome in, everyone. My name is Naya, and here today I am joined by Juana in the Rookie Division Grand Final with these two spectacular teams that have fought their way into this moment. Eternal Big Chungus having a nice run there up in that lower bracket, but TBH, IDEK keeping it strong since the second week of their season, winning out from that point on. And I mean, you can just clearly see it, Juana. Round one, semifinals, upper finals, then making their way up into the grand final. TBH absolutely sweeping everyone.
Yeah, TBH looking incredibly strong here. I mean, not dropping a map the entire way, all the way to grand finals, is a pretty insane record. And on the other hand, Eternal Big Chungus really almost surviving a scare there with Nemesis, or against Nemesis, and then really taking it, pretty cleanly against Galactic Penguins to be able to meet TBH in the finals here.
Yeah, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens here, as this will be a rematch of that upper semi-final. But seeing this Eternal Big Chungus team have a lower bracket run, the attitude and the egos might switch up here for TBH. Having a winning record here up in the playoffs might affect them. And I think Eternal coming up into this, being a dark horse, that could change the tide in the tables here. It's like placing an Uno reverse card, possibly. Third time's the charm here, possibly, for Eternal Big Chungus. But let's kind of run it down and see up on the map set here, as it will the Lijiang Tower. And there's so much great comps here that both of the two teams can run.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower is a really interesting one. Obviously, you can go to Gardens. You can play a lot of dive there. You can also, even on Gardens, play that sim comp. You can play Brawl on basically any of these points. So really, we're going to have to see stylistically what these teams choose to do, because there are a lot of options that Lijiang gives you. And we'll see, perhaps the bans are going to give us some inkling of what they might want to roll out on here.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see what those bans are going to be in between these teams. But let's take a look at both of the rosters here in between TBH, IDEK, taking on Eternal Big Chungus. A couple of names that you are familiar with up on the Chungus side of things. But TBH, IDEK, I mean, this is a squad that is literally introduced in this season Series 4, as this is brand new. They're all kind of rookies coming up into this, but Duke, Blind, Zoe, Q-Man, Gert Guy, Infinix, Churn, Davian, Dire Raven, Nat, and Duncan and Orion. These players are going to be showing us some great energy tonight, and I just can't wait to see what these rosters are truly capable of.
For sure. And really, what really strikes me is TBH is really a team that has come together and really shocked the world and had a near perfect run to the grand finals here. And this is a lot of rookies, right? Like, this is rookie tier, but these are the rookies of rookie. And on the other hand, you have Eternal Big Chungus, a lot of players who are a little more well-known in the community, right? Dire Raven has been on multiple rookie tier teams over the years and had very good results. Nat, another very well-known player, Churd, has been on teams, since, I believe, 2018, 2019. So really players that have been around a very long time, very veteran players.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see what happens here with all these veteran players coming up into this one. Let's take a look at these bands here. TBH picking the Reaper here for this first one, and Malga getting chosen for Eternal. What are we thinking about these bands?
So this kind of tells me, I have a feeling, I believe I watched some EBC games before. As far as I am aware, I know Eternal Big Chungus really likes to run that Zarya Reaper comp, and so TBH is really saying from the get-go, we don't want you playing that Zarya Reaper comp. And on the other hand, Mauga seems to be an interesting choice, not always getting the most play time on a map like Lijiang, and not always kind of the most meta pick, but as I always like to say, if you're sick at a hero, if you're really good at a hero, then you can play it, you can make it work in situations really where it is not optimal. And so Eternal Big Chungus may be recognizing that the tank player for TBH is really strong on this here and deciding we don't want to play into this.
Yeah, and Lijiang, this is going to be a really, really quick map in between two of the teams here. This control point is going to be basically do or die, right? You want to start off extremely strong, as you don't want to be one under starting this series off, as it is the grand final. So both teams want to show up really, really strong here. But as I said, Eternal Big Chungus, they're coming up into this as a dark horse story, which that will very much possibly tell here, as third time is always a charm. Now, hopefully I didn't cast or curse that, but yeah, I think it's going to be an intriguing one to say at least. I mean, it's been a heck of a season, especially with me broadcasting some games up in this Series 4. Hopefully we don't have another disconnected map, so I'm hoping that that's not the case, but if it does happen, we have some rules to implement into that.
Absolutely. These considerations are really important for players too, right? Not just for us as casters. Players have to be really considering, what is their ping looking like? What are their peripherals looking like, right? You want to make sure that you are giving yourself every possible chance to succeed, and you want to be able to play on the lowest ping. You want to be able to play to the highest standard, especially in a grand finals like this.
Yeah, this grand finals kicking off here in between these two teams. TBH, IDEK up on the left-hand side. Eternal Big Chungus up on the right-hand side. Both organizations fighting their way for this moment, and they want to prove it here. Let's take a look at those team compositions, though. Are you seeing anything that's interesting?
Yeah, the Pharah from Orion is a very interesting choice. Obviously, I think that Orion would have been on the Reaper had it not been banned. He does decide to swap off it. We'll see. I do want to make a note that we have had a patch in between, the last time these teams have played, so we'll see if that affects anything here.
All right, here we go. TP out of spawn, possibly. No TP going through the window. Very, very interesting choice here for TBH, IDEK. They want to go really, really quick here, but take a look at the damage that Eternal Big Chungus is putting up onto this squad. Both are playing pretty separately right now, but these are some nice positions.
Absolutely. And you're going to see the Ramatra comp is going to really want to stay here and be stable on point, and the Pharah comp is really going to want to take angles and see who can get the first pickup. Who is the first to slide here? Can Orion make something happen, or will the overwhelming pressure get the better of them?
Yeah, Dire Raven, Orion getting the picks here for Eternal Big Chungus. TBH falling down in numbers. The Lucio's not going to have much to do as Orion gets another pick there up onto blind. Eternal Big Chungus starting off super, super strong here.
Absolutely. And you're going to see Eternal Big Chungus is really going to be starting to build up some of those ultimates. Orion is going to be at 65. You have Duncan at 65-ish here now as well. And it's going to be really hard to push into this comp against Safara now.
Absolutely. Let's see what happens here with Eternal Big Chungus. They're building up on that Far Up Barrage. That might be the first ultimate that will be popped here in this series alone. TBH, IDEK, they want to try and go around that, though. They don't want to be in that ultimate position. Eternal Big Chungus, they're about to set this one up. So much damage up onto the side as they do pop the Beat Matrix, but Rias getting Dire Raven here. TBH having a nice start, but Orion, oh, getting two. And Eternal Big Chungus, this is a great start for this squad as the percentage numbers just keep on building up.
Absolutely. And it almost looked like TBH was going to be able to turn that there for a second. They had used the Kitsune, and then the Lucio, Dire Raven, had passed away, unfortunately, and it looked like they were going to be down in numbers in that fight until Orion comes in with a hero play, picks up 3.
All right, here we go. Yeah, wonderful play there from Eternal Big Chungus and Orion. Take a look at TBH. They got 2 ultimates here for this next fight, and they are making a rotation. This is very complex here. TBH,
yeah.
IDEK.
And if I was EBC here, I'd be very happy with getting that beat out from the side of TBH in that other fight.
Oh, look at Davion going here, getting the pick there. Wonderful grab play there. Orion, oh, all right, Eternal Big Chungus. They're getting some numbers up on this squad. And TBH, they're falling down once more.
Yeah, and Rios is going to be the lone woman to touch this point. See if she can even make it happen, and she will not. She will be booped off by the Lucio.
Yeah. What a game 1 in this map 1.
Absolutely.
TBH looking for some numbers here still. But Eternal Big Chungus, well done to start this one off. Taking a look at the stat chart, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, the stats tell the story, right? Duck, no kills. Blind, no kills, 3 deaths. You never want to see any of your players have a negative KD ratio. That, very plainly paints the picture that you were outplayed on that submap. And it seems like EBC had a really, really good strategy for going in and taking it to TBH.
All right, here we go. Map 2 in this capture mode. Lijiang Tower. Map 2 starting now in between TBH and Eternal. Let's see what happens here. Both teams trying to space. One rotating up into the room, but Navara will get the M right. As Eternal Big Chungus in such a great position.
That's a mistake from the side of TBH. It's an unforced error. You don't need to be standing there. You don't need to be getting booped there, and it's just unfortunate because it does mean that EBC basically wins the fight for free and will have all of the positioning to take this next fight.
All right, here goes EBC walking across the bridge, possibly here. They actually want to hold this. Nice way to space TBH. They are getting backed up here. A little worrisome if you are TBH.
Absolutely. And EBC, I mean, right now, Duck doesn't have a mech, and Duck is just trying to get his mech back, and, it's going to take him a while. And all the while, EBC is just accruing percentage and ult charge.
All right, here goes Eternal Big Chungus. They want to rotate back up onto the point here, fight them through the corridor room. Maybe TBH. Oh no, that is bad. They lose their main support. Blind is down. Now this is a 5v4 scenario. Davian getting another pick here for Eternal Big Chungus, as now the numbers are building, and Churd getting Finks.
Yeah, and this is a tough position to be in right now because you have to come back and push into that barrage. And, barrage is hard to set up on an aggressive angle, but when you have all of the space to make a defensive play with barrage, it becomes a lot easier.
Oh, nice little placement there from the Pharah. TBH, though, losing their Pharah. Rias getting picked there by Churd. Churd holding a nice position over there with the squad of Chungus. But I like what Chungus are planning to do here. You get the Pharah up onto the Emray, and you have the Pharah with the barrage.
Yeah, you're going to have really, really good ults here. And Rios is doing his best to try and match this, but it's really, really hard to come in and play against this when you don't have the positioning.
All right, here goes that rotation off of the two teams that are positioning now to this objective. Eternal Big Chungus able to pop this first ultimate here. Duncan wants to go quick. Human also wants to go quick for TBH, but Rios able to follow up on the far barrage, going in big for Eternal Big Chungus as they are able to follow up on more picks, and it just seems to be Rios was trying to match it up there with their barrage, but it's not even going to work. Another 100% here for Eternal Big Chungus, and what a script this is written for map 1. Who would have thought that Eternal Big Chungus were starting this story off strong?
Absolutely. And that, I got to be honest, that didn't seem that close to me, right? I'm looking at the stats. The Lucio player on TBH really having a rough go of it. And, as a Lucio player, I feel the pain, but really not able to make much impact on a lot of these fights. And really good job for EBC to come in here, backs against the wall, right? Have not taken a map against this team and come out and just say, we're not going to play scared. We're going to play our game. We're going to play to win this entire series.
Yeah, losing your main support even up in those important fights, right? It plays around that mobility of your squad. If you're in a 5v4 scenario, it's either you fight that or you rotate back. And I think the team made that decision well, and sometimes it didn't go well for them, right? As we just got to see there from TBH, losing that one into Eternal Big Chungus. But hey, TBH had some chances and a couple critical errors that I have seen, but was there anything that you kind of highlighted from TBH that is quite important against Eternal there up in that first map 1?
Yeah, I think the thing that I noted the most is really the way that you beat the Pharah comp, the way that you access the Pharah comp is you play very fast, right? You don't give that Pharah time to take angles and spam you out. You have to be moving, you have to be brawling, especially with that D.Va, right? And if you just sit around and you walk slowly through your rotation, you lose players, right? And we saw that repeatedly, especially on that last sub map. They would lose one player, and then the fight would snowball, and eventually they would lose out, and that would be really kind of the way that I honestly think that they lost that entire map.
Interesting. That is really, really interesting. I would have to say probably the same exact thing, right? TBH, they had so many good opening chances, but they didn't play them well, right? And I feel like that's what made them fall short in those scenarios against Eternal Big Chungus. But the way Eternal could play really quick now up into this playstyle that TBH brought in the last 2 games that they previously played. But here we are now, up in the grand final. They want to change the tide and story, and they are writing in that book pretty well. So I like what I'm seeing here right off the bat with Eternal striking onto TBH. But if we're trying to think of a map here, let's actually take a look at our map pool, or map set. My bad. Saravasa now getting picked here from both of the two sides. TBH's pick, as they were the ones to lose that one, but Saravasa going to be the map pick.
Yeah, Sara, an interesting choice here. I'm interested to see. They banned out the Mauga map 1 did EBC. So I'm wondering if the tank player for TBH will be bringing the Mauga out here, right? This is a map that Mauga is often played on. It's seen as one of his better maps. So I think that this could be what they are looking to go to here. They could be trying to go back to the comp that they feel is the strongest for it now that it's not banned.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting to see what happens here up on the Saravasa. As you said, Mauga, a lot of brawl-type compositions could be played here. Ram is pretty good as well, especially up in the rotations. I wouldn't be too surprised either if we were able to see D.Va getting played here, or even a JQ. I know teams like to go super quick up on these Flashpoint maps, but Saravasa always being a more favorited map in that Flashpoint pool.
Yeah, Saravasa is really the default pick for most teams. Some teams will take you to Atlas. Rarely will you go to New Junk City. There are some people who do enjoy that map. There are a few people out there. There are a few people who like that map, but Sora is really the main one for most teams. And most teams that thus are, more practice on that map. They have more time put in on that map compared to like a new Junk City or an Atlas, Atlas is an even newer map. So they probably feel really comfortable here. They probably feel like they have a good understanding of how to play this map and how to play their comp on this map.
Yeah, and do you think heading to this Saravasa, especially this Flashpoint mode, do you expect, well, I mean, I would expect it, but would you expect the backlines to be a lot more quicker with their team composition?
Yeah, I would be surprised unless it was banned out that we didn't get Lucio Kiri. Lucio Kiri is still kind of the meta backline. It's still the most common backline. Now, some teams will decide not to play it. I know that Dire Raven specifically is a very accomplished Lucio player. I don't know as much about the hero pools for the TBH, but it could be something where they could ban it out, right? And there are maps where Lucio and Kiri are not as favored. So depending on the map we go to, we could see some variety eventually. But I would be surprised here if we didn't see Lucio Kiri, especially because Lucio is really, really effective in moving your team across large open spaces that exist in a map like Saravasa and Flashpoint in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Here goes the first ban, though, from EBC. Now you're going to have Ryan getting taken out here up on this Flashpoint of Saravasa and an Emre from TBH. This is going to be something here. Very interesting bans, I would have to say. Are they trying to go for... I would have to say they might want to still run what they ran up on that first map.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was what they ended up doing. It is really interesting to me. We've had 2 DPS bans from TBH, and we've had 2 tank bans from EBC. I wonder if these teams are considering, looking at the rosters on the other side and say, we really don't want to lose to TBH's tank, or we don't really want to lose to the DPS line of EBC. And so they may be taking that into account as they are doing these bans.
Yeah. Very, very interesting bans here. Might be throwaway bans, who knows? But I like the Emre pick, as Emre was a threat there up in that last one. So they're reading that one well. Rhine being very interesting. I know teams like to opt in the Rhine for some Saravasa compositions, but it's more likely to see a Ramatra, a JQ, or even a Diva here up on this Saravasa. But yeah, very, very shortly, we will be launching ourselves up into this secondary of Saravasa. I believe the last time I broadcasted Saravasa, it was with Mr. Leapfrog, and we had a server disconnect for our whole entire thing, and it was completely resetted. So hopefully that doesn't happen here in this Rookie Division Grand Finals, first to 4. Eternal Big Chungus leading this one pretty well right off the start. As I said, who would have thought Eternal Big Chungus were to start this one off as strong as they are?
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly wouldn't have credited for EBC to come out and look this strong. I'm really, really interested to see how TBH responds, right? TBH probably going into this match, maybe not cocky, but, confident that they have played this team before and they have beat them soundly. And now, kind of shoes on the other foot, right? TBH is the one behind this series, and they're going to have to be thinking about how do we counter what EBC is trying to do here.
Hey, as I was saying, maybe the ego was building for TBH as they had that upper bracket run. It happens in tournaments, and it's possibly happening here in this grand final. But take a look at that. We get to see the beautiful sun and the beautiful Saravasa. The final 2 seconds here, taking a look at the team compositions. Both teams will be rolling out with the Sim TP. Quick backlines here, the Kiri Lucio and the Diva Zarya. Very, very interesting here, but let's see what happens here with both of the 2 squads. They're setting up pretty well, but you have TBH up on the point. Finks getting the pick here. Up onto Nat, starting this 5v4 scenario, as now Eternal Big Chungus got to rotate out of this fight.
Absolutely. And really, we're seeing very different comps here from the side of EBC and TBH. I don't even know. Really, like I said in the first map, it seems that EBC really likes to play this Zarya Reaper comp. On the other side, we see a Sim and a Diva, which these do not often go together, but we will see how they can make it work here on Saravasa.
They're kind of running the collegiate composition, at least from my eyes. These are the 1 or 2 comps I always get to see with my squad. A TBH Setting up still pretty good. Finks once more up onto Nat. That's the secondary of this Bossa. As Eternal Big Chungus, they're already down another player. And you also get to see the DMAC. Maybe the Reaper wants to put in some damage here up on Eternal. But TBH losing a player now. As now it's a 5v4 scenario. 5v3, Duncan getting the pickup on the Duck. And Eternal now trying to flip this point for their hands. As TBH, they're just falling in numbers.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that this comp does for EBC really, really well is even down that pick, they have a lot of staying power, right? They have a lot of ability to go ahead and push you aggressively with that Zarya, with that Reaper, especially when you are using them synergistically. Your Reaper is building your Zarya charge, and then that becomes a nightmare for the D.Va to deal with. And even down the pick there, they just say no fear, and they keep going, and they eventually win the team fight out.
Ooh, here goes the Kitsune rush here from Eternal Big Chungus. Going in really, really quick there. The Reaper able to follow up onto the pick here of Blind. As TBH, they're working without their Lucio. This is kind of something that we got to see from map 1, and it's very much showing here from Eternal. This aggro play style just keeps on rock and rolling for Eternal Big Chungus.
Right, absolutely. And, one thing I've noticed so far is Duncan was really able to use his Kitsune rush effectively there, and Dire Raven is going to have the beat. Right now, Q-Man and Blind still a little bit behind on theirs, right? So if they take this fight fast, EDC, they can really be able to close this out here and move on to the next point.
There goes the Reaper Blossom, not finding too much. Dire Raven with the beat against the Blind's beat, but here goes that Terra. This overclock on the side of Finks. The overtime ticking here in between both the squads. Davian able to get the pick up on the Finks. Nat up onto Q-Man, and Duncan following up onto Blind. Eternal Big Chungus having the numbers here up in this one. As that overtime now slowly ticking down as Eternal just trying to find Rias as they do it very well. Eternal Big Chungus now having this first capture in Saravasa for themselves. That stat line, ooh, it's cooking for Eternal, and the Reaper is putting in some work.
Yeah, really the only player on EBC that has died is Nat, and he really died, I believe, twice to 2 really nice shots from Finks, so really, really struggling to find and confirm kills here, TBH.
All right, TBH and Eternal having a couple ultimates here. The Overclock and the Graviton Surge charged up for Eternal. The Kitsune Rush also trying to get charged up as it is a 91% and building. The Graviton Surge, this one could be big here for Eternal Big Chungus. Let's see what TBH wants to do. They do drop the bomb. Very, very interesting choice here from this TBH squad. They do get a pick here. Finks up on to Orient as Eternal Big Chungus. They want to still play this one out as it is very, very intriguing. This is a little confusing for me, but Nat still getting picks.
Yeah, and they're trading back and forth, and now it seems that Orion is back in the fight and kind of going on a sneaky flank here.
Yeah, the flank is working here. The Reaper applying some damage here up on the Rias. But TBH IDEK, you gotta be playing careful here. They use the Make Cry out. And they also have this Blizzard up in hands. Eternal Big Chungus having so much ultimates. Dire Raven starting this one off strong. Let's see what Chungus could do here up on this outskirt. Rias. Oh, still just trying to apply some damage up on that Chungus squad. But Nat and Dire Raven. Dire Raven with the boom up on the Finks. And Big Chungus. They are in such a nice spot here against TPH as they're still building that percentage. I thought for sure that they were going to lose that up in the chokehold. But they got those ultimates, and it's working well for them this next fight.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 ults on the side of EBC here. It's going to be really hard if you are TBH to come in here. And of course, you probably will try and at least get some ults out on the side of EBC. But as I say that, actually, they don't do anything. They give up on that point. They say, we're going to go next.
Very, very interesting here from TBH. It's probably just a point rotation, if I had to guess. IDEK in a good spot here. Q-Man and Blind with the ultimates here up on TBH. Finks trying to build up that one ult, but Eternal Big Chungus, here goes the Kitsune Rush and the grab. Let's see how much damage this amplifies. As Blind did pop the beat, but Eternal Big Chungus, they are still getting the picks up in the kill feed. As that Zarya has been shunned, but the Zarya gets shut down here by Duck. The Reaper Blossom is out. Is that finding anything? No, it doesn't, but they do find a melee, and Blind's just gonna say, hey, I gotta reset here.
Absolutely, and a lot of changes coming out from TBH. They did swap off the Diva onto the Zarya themselves. They wanted to match that. They did swap the Mei, pretty early on in second point, and now they're on the Baptiste instead of the Kiriko, which is a really interesting adaptation. Not something you often see teams do nowadays.
Yeah, a little more probably brawly here, possibly, for TBH. Maybe they want to poke a little more around corners, but here goes Sphinx with the ultimate up onto Dire Raven. This is working well for them. Now they got numbers building up in the kill feed. Sphinx once more up onto the Czar. And you gotta be worried here if you're Nat and Duncan. Oh, yeah. I mean, Eternal Big Chungus, they couldn't do very much there.
Yeah, anytime you hear that Sojourner, it is a bad day to have ahead. And Sphinx taking them off expeditiously there.
Yeah, absolutely. Rias, I'm gonna have this Blizz up in hand for this next fight for TBH. This Blizzard will be extremely big here, depending upon how this is placed in this next team fight. With the speed, possibly for a rotation here from Dire. But Dire and them taking some damage as Rias and Blind finally picks up on this Eternal squad, and Rias once more up onto Deviant as Eternal Big Chungus. Yeah, they're just getting sent back, but they use the grab. What a strategic decision this is.
I gotta give some aura points, right? I don't know that I've ever seen somebody grab a spawn when they weren't, stopping the team. That is really that was impressive stuff from Duckwa there.
Yeah, they're like the it's like the 2018 moment World Cup, but in Servasa touching spawn door.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, Defron and Selfless used to do a lot of that, but it's been a long time since they've been around.
Alright, here goes the Blizzard. The Zarya lose it here. Up on Eternal Big Chungus. Dire Raven taking some damage. Rias up in the kill feed twice as Eternal Big Chungus. They are just trying to stay alive here if you are Duncan and Nats, but you just see that consistency with the damage that the squad of TBH is now applying to them, as Eternal Big Chungus is losing that third as they now move up onto the fourth consecutive flashpoint in this Servasa.
Absolutely, and EBC still has some moves to work with here on this point. It looked like they might, just run away and snowball the map, but now we really have a whole Servasa on our hands. We might go the distance here throughout all of these points.
Yeah, maybe this is the series score flip, right? Maybe TBH wants to neutralize that series score. Oh, getting a pick there if you're blind. Thanks up onto Nats, and you just get to see Duncan now and Orion rotating back, falling off the map, as that was probably the only smartest decision that they could do there. But a couple ultimates coming up here from both of the two sides.
Yeah, that's just a Lucio's dream right there. There are not many places on Servasa where you can look for boop kills. This point is one of the best ones, and he really comes up with the goods there. In the same way that I was taking to task TBH, right? You have to be better than that. You have to not allow the Lucio player to have that opportunity to make that play.
Right now with the Soj ultimate, not finding much here. They don't have the Reaper Blossom just yet, as Orion will have to rotate back to the team and group up. As Eternal Big Chungus, they're playing this one well. They don't want to step in too close. They don't want to overextend this one, as they know that they need this Reaper for this next fight. I am expecting the Reaper Blossom to touch the back of the point. Here it comes. The Beyblade, possibly, but the grab here gets in for Eternal Big Chungus, but I don't think it's gonna work, as TBH, they're finding some numbers. But you also get to see Duckwa finding Dire Raven. Eternal Big Chungus, what is happening?
Yeah, this is a tough spot to be in if you're EBC, right? No fights have gone well for you in the past point and a half, I would say, and it's really it's a big mental burden, right? You were up so much, and then TBH started making a lot of comp swaps, and your comp hasn't been as effective as it was in the initial phase. And so now we are going to see Orion swap over to the Mei. We're going to see if this comp swap will be the answer for them to be able to pick themselves back up on this map.
Oh, but here comes the grab here from Duckwa. TBH wants to apply some more pressure onto Eternal Big Chungus' squad. Nat up onto Blind. You also get to see Duncan and that Blizzard from Brias getting popped here. Trying to find something here if you're Eternal. I like the way that they're playing as the Mei gets a pick, the Soj gets a pick, and Big Chungus setting themselves up good here.
Yeah, that's a really tough way to lose that fight, right? You use your grab, you use your Mei, and you will come back here and have support ults, but you never want to use grab Mei and lose a fight. That's a tough start to this ending of this map for them.
Yeah, here we go, 24% in building. Eternal Big Chungus. They only got the Lucio Beat Matrix. The Blizz is charging up, but this is a very aggressive beat. They want to walk in quick here, apply some damage to this line of TBH, but they gotta be prepared for what TBH is bringing into this next fight.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an interesting decision from Dire Raven. I was surprised that Lion didn't choose to pop it in response, but good restraint from him.
Duckwa able to get the pick here up on the Duncan, things up onto Nat. You also get to see the Blitz here popped up on Eternal. Very interesting. Maybe Orion wants to get some more amplified pressure, but TBH, they want to contest this one still against Eternal. This is gonna be no more for Dire Raven, and now TBH, they get that point flip.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way that fight turned out. I don't know if you needed the overclock there at the end, because now Nat will come in with an overclock with no beat in response. They do have a grab to be able to counter in response to this, but with Davion almost to his grab, this really could be a very, very slobber knocker of a fight.
All right, here it goes, and that's overclock here up on Eternal, but they lose numbers here. Q-Man and Finks once more. Duckwa, TBH, and I mean, that's the only last resort decision you had, Duncan. Well done. But Eternal Big Chungus getting swept there in that fight. TBH, well done with the ult usage.
Yeah, there's going to be a really crucial window here, though. Davion is going to have his grab with no beat on the side of TBH. If they can come in and if they can take a good fight here and they can get their feet under them, they really have a shot at winning this.
Here goes the Mei wall. Eternal Big Chungus with the grab. This could be huge. We're going to apply some pressure here up onto that backline main support. Take a look at Rias, able to get a couple. But, hey, I think Eternal Big Chungus, they want this one back up into their favor. Trains for trains here as of this moment, but Dire Raven up on the Finks getting the boop. Dire Raven once more up into the kill feed, and that Lucio is a showstopper.
I will see, they do get the touch here.
Oh, interesting stuff. They are playing the ball, of course. Duncan with the Kitsune rush. Oh, Eternal. They get this one, as that was quite a bit unfortunate. TBH wanted to get back to that one, but what a play that was. I believe it was a boop that got the ball off from getting back up onto that flash blitz.
Yeah, and I just want to give props to both teams, right? This map could have ended very differently if TBH didn't make those initial swaps, right? TBH was able to bring it back to 2-2, 99-99. And really, honestly, I think sometimes, especially in these lower tier divisions, the team that has the higher mental fortitude and is able to make the more adaptations is oftentimes the team that's going to win. And, you know, obviously both teams facing a lot of challenges in that map. And ultimately, EBC being able to pull it out and not getting in their own heads about ultimately dropping those two control points after for taking the first two.
Yeah, a really well done map here, played from both of the two sides, I would have to say. Eternal Big Chungus, they got a tad bit scary there up in that last one, as we have them now up here, 2 maps up in the series, but TBH, that was a really good look from their previous map 1, I would have to say, as they really amplified the pressure onto the shoulders of Eternal Big Chungus, and they wanted to strike back at them and say, hey, we might have a chance here to take this map off you. But yeah, I think it's good. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, we're back. Let's send it to a break. Funny shenanigans. Welcome back in, everyone, to this SPCS series for Rookie Division against TBH IDEK, taking on Eternal Big Chungus. What a flip of this one, as, you know, this is the third time that they are playing in a consecutive season. And matter of fact, can we take a look, production, at their past match history from these two individual squads, as there's a couple things that I want to talk about here. So match history in between these two, you get to see them have really, really great runs. But taking a look at Eternal Big Chungus, that loss that might come to play here with TBH biting them up in the back.
Yeah, not a lot of, or really any W or Ls for TBH. Eternal Big Chungus obviously losing previously in the semifinals to TBH, but this has really been a reversal of fortunes here for EBC and TBH. TBH really has to scramble around, look for the answers. Look, how do we get our mojo back? How do we start beating these guys again?
Absolutely, like how you see up on TBH's squad there. They were at a 3-0 statement, but here goes Runasape here for this map pick of TBH. TBH were looking pretty good there up on Servasa. Maybe their feet are back up into the box here, and they want to get up onto this pitch and score something for their squad. Runasapi for this third one in this best of 7, first of 4 in this grand final in this rookie division.
Yeah, third map pick here for the side of TBH, losing the first 2 of those map picks. They're going to have to get one here. The series is really going to start to get out of hand for them. It's a very, very difficult position to be down 3-0 facing elimination. They really, really need to get this one here in order to start picking up the momentum to be able to carry themselves through the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's going to be a scary one. If TBH loses this one, it will go to a match point scenario, but no, TBH, you just did it. They take out the Kiriko, and that is something that you get to see so much up on these backlines here for a push map like this.
Yeah, Kiriko, I feel like, has been meta since the day she released. Suzu is one of, if not the strongest abilities in the game. And TBH saying that they want to play maybe some sort of different composition here. We might still see the Lucio. We did last map see TBH playing the Lucio Baptiste, but I wonder if this means maybe we see a Wuyang, maybe we see an Ana, maybe we see a Juno, maybe a little Brig gameplay for all of the Brig fans at home.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that backline is now going to consist of something different. Yeah, absolutely. They might keep that Lucio, or they might convert to a Juno Speed Ring playstyle. But yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see what that support backline should do. But both the two bands being Kiriko and Winston. Talking about the Winston, do you think these two squads will be trying to amplify a rush, or do you think it will be a brawl?
If I was EBC and I was a betting man, I would say that EBC probably feels pretty comfortable in that Zarya comp, right? I don't think we've seen Davian play anything other than the Zarya, so I would bet my bottom dollar that EBC rolls out on that Zarya comp here, and even if they have to change up the support line here a little bit, they probably still feel comfortable enough running it. They probably feel like it's their best look if they, put that as their best foot forward into the series so far.
All right, the beautiful looks here in this Runasape against TBH and Eternal. This map 3 will tell us if TBH can have a strike back up in this. If TBH doesn't get this win, it's going to be match point for Eternal Big Chungus. But let's take a look at those early compositions. Zarya up on both of the two sides.
Yeah, and really, we have almost mirror compositions here, minus the hit scan option. Churd going with the Emre, Finks going with the Sojourn. I think Emre gives you a little bit more consistent. I think Emre is a little bit more overtuned than Soj is right now, given how many nerfs Soj has gotten over the years. Soj obviously gives you really, really good poke, and if you can hit somebody with that rail, you will be able to usually confirm that elimination.
All right, here we go. Eternal Big Chungus and TBH. IDEK rolling out of the spawns doors as now they meet themselves in this mid here with the bots up on this Runasape map. Let's see who will be the one to get this first pick. Rias taking some damage here against Eternal. But Eternal needs to be careful with how they play with the Reaper. Thanks up on to Davion. Blind getting the one off of Duncan. But Dunk also getting the pick here. As Eternal Big Chungus, they are falling short. And it's once more for this TBH squad, as now they are starting this one off strong. And this is exactly what we want to see here from them.
Yeah, absolutely. TBH coming in here, also saying that they are not going to quit, that they are going to keep playing their game and play it, really honestly very well against EBC in that fight.
Let's see what happens here. Rios wants to apply some damage up in the back. Thinks up on to the Reaper. Eternal Big Chungus down a player. You gotta be careful. 4v5 scenario. Churd needs to back up. We know Churd has had some past performance in these grand finals. Same with Dire Raven in the SPCS series scene. But now you have TBH rolling the bot to this halfway point already up in this Runasapi.
Yeah, checkpoint is really the biggest deal, I think, in the whole game mode of push. Being able to get that usually predicts who's going to win the map.
Alright, thanks here, trying to use the window. Rias, popping a Blossom, gets two, and Eternal Big Chungus losing the most important players here up in this fight. Duck able to follow up on two there as the Zarya and TBH, they're staying alive.
Yeah, but they do lose a couple players in this fight, so we'll see if EBC is able to get a fight here early on and force the members of TBH to back off before they can regroup.
Let's see what happens here. This Reaper play is going to be really, really interesting from Eternal. They're coming up on that Reaper Blossom. Churn also coming up on that Emre ultimate. Duncan with the window ready to go. Dire Raven with the beat matrix. Eternal probably going to go quick. Oh, good thing that they didn't pop the beat, because that would have been an Ajax. But TBH, they are working well enough that every single fight, whenever it comes around those fights, they're the ones that are winning.
Yeah, TBH really making a statement here. They haven't lost a fight since this map has begun. And with the bot, pushing deeper and deeper into the end zone of EBC, they're going to have to make something happen quick, or they're going to find themselves out of this map really quick.
All right, crossing over the triple-digit marker. TBH, they have the beat matrix ready to go. They might need to use it now. Great way to use against that Emerald. That Churn just amplified. Eternal Big Chungus starting off strong here with the pick. Churd getting one up on the Q-Man. Rias falling down here. TBH, they only got 3 players, and the best thing to do is to rotate back, and they're doing it well.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see, can they catch any of these spawners here, or will they be able to get out free from danger?
Yeah, it seems to be that Finks got picked there by the Zarya. But here goes Eternal Big Chungus, right? Now they got this progression rolling in their favor. And maybe, if best bet scenario, if they could get halfway, that would be the best probability for this Eternal squad.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll be able to find a good use of Orion's Death Blossom here and be able to start cutting into this lead here of TBH.
Let's see what happens here with Orion. Reaper Blossom ready to go, trying to do a rotation possibly through the room. Beat Matrix was used there by Dire Raven. The window was also used by Q-Mat. But we're approaching halfway here up in this Runasape. Eternal Big Chungus and TBH. Just trying to look for that first elimination in this fight. That has been one heck of a contest. Eternal Big Chungus though, they gotta be careful. Rias doesn't find much, but Finks up onto Orion. As Orion gets picked, Blind getting a pick up on the Churd, and Zakwill getting Zarya. Rias once more up on the Dire, and that is going to be the team kill that TBH wanted. So now they got this back up in their favor, and they're gonna roll right back to that 106.
Absolutely, and Rias not really confirming the kills himself, but doing just enough with the Death Blossom to set up his team to be able to get those kills. And really, that fight should have been a tale of the Death Blossoms. Orion just decides that he cannot find an opportunity, that he can't pop it.
Ooh, look at that Zarya grab. That is huge. Finks Q-Man. Finks once more up in the kill feed. And Eternal Big Chungus. They are losing everything here after that huge play from Zakwu. TBH, what a placement that was with the grab.
Yeah, and I can imagine that Orion, who has now been holding this Death Blossom for a while now, has getting pretty desperate to figure out how to use it. We'll see. Can he play patiently? Can he get the value he needs to be able to win this fight?
Here goes Orion, wants to take some pressure up onto that Baptiste. TBH needs to be careful, they lose Q-Man. Orion using that ultimate, and it goes out well. It only gets one pick, but the success of that fight was what pulled them forward.
Yeah, and you know, good fight win from EBC, but the tough part about push is when you find yourself in a deficit like this, you have to use ults to get out of your spawn, and now you haven't even started making progress on the bot really yet. You are going to be walking into more ults on the side of TBH before you can even really start making progress.
Absolutely, TBH, they're going to be having the window, they'll have the beats, the Reaper Blossom for that third up on the DPS. Duncan, though, using the window, they want to put some pressure onto the squad, but Blind says, hey, maybe we want to walk in quick, and they're doing it well. TBH needs to still be careful, especially what Eternal has up in the back. Churd could easily pop that ultimate. Oh, the TP up into the room. Maybe Rias wants to set up a Blossom here for this next one, but Churd getting blind. Losing a main support like that is a never good sign.
Yeah, they might get further picked here, and I really want to point out something that is hard to catch in the moment, but Dire Raven with a little bit of a delayed beat there, and that delayed beat, the better beat that Dire Raven got for her team, really I think made the difference in being able to win that fight.
Alright, here goes the Zarya grab here from Eternal, as Sphinx once more with the ult of Soj, finding a pickup on the Dire. It's been Lucio's dying up in this back line this whole entire Runa Stoppy, as Duck able to find one up on the Duncan. And yeah, if you're Eternal, just set back, do a quick reset, and try and figure out the issue.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Orion has also swapped over here away from the Reaper to the Tracer. He's, I know, a very good Tracer player, but it's really interesting to see you don't really have as good of an engage, right? Tracer is really good at flanking. She's really good at being sneaky and taking 1v1s, but much harder to take those, you know, front-on fights there, yeah.
Yeah, Churd able to use that Emery ult, applying some damage to that line. Human Rias, oh, getting the pick. Dire falling, and it's like every single fight now, Dire's the one to fall. But the Lucio, the trade right back. Blind falling for TBH. Nice way to use pulse there from Orion. Duncan, you are using that window, but nice pressure there from Orion up on the Tracer.
Orion, you know, showing off the skills, really, you know, in enemy territory, in front of the Zarya, in front of the Lucio, taking it to, I believe that was Finks there.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you have Eternal Big Chungus camping this halfway. As you do get to see Duck pop that ult, as they are popping the beats. So 2 ultimates used there. TBH, they're playing this one really, really aggressively in these last couple minutes. We're approaching 1 more minute.
Absolutely. And it's a really tough position now for EBC to be in, right? EBC doesn't have any ults, and with Q-Man saving that Baptiste field for his team, it's going to be really, really hard to eventually get the cart progress needed for EBC to take this one.
All right, Q-Man ready to go with the BAP ult. All they need to do is place this one well for their squad to get back up into this fight. But here goes Eternal. They're playing this one pretty safely, I would have to say, as they're taking some space against TBH. But look at the time bank. There's so very little time for these 2 squads. One of them needs to make a push, and I believe it was Eternal, and it's not working out well. You get to see now that kill feed shown in blue, and TBH, that's once more almost a team kill. Call it a team kill now, as the Broom is sweeping the floor.
Yeah, and they're saying they're not even going to push the bot anymore. They're going to see if anybody can get the touch here, and I'm not sure if they will be able to.
Oh, the Tracer getting the touch here. Eternal wants back up onto this. They're going to lose some players here, right? That aggression will cost them. Here goes the Zarya. Grab the pulse bomb up onto Blind. Dire Raven with the beats. As this is working out well. But you see so many ultimates getting popped there from Eternal, and now this next fight, you're going to be relying upon a window against Reyes's ult of Reaper Blossom.
Yeah, that's the danger of falling so far behind in push, right? You have to use those ults to be able to get out, right? They couldn't have saved those ults. They needed to win that fight. But now, they likely need to win at least 2 more fights if they want to take this map.
All right, overtime ticking here in this grand finals first of 4 series. Eternal up on top here. Can they prove it here with this overtime push? Churd getting a pick up onto Blind. This is big, and Duncan is putting in some work with that window. It's really well done backing TBH here up in this overtime as they're approaching 80. This is a little scary, but they are aware possibly of Reyes. If they're not, devastation is about to happen.
Yeah, and this is going to be a close fight, but if I was a betting man, I would say that TBH probably comes out on top of this with their ult bang.
Oh my goodness, Reyes able to pop the Reaper Blossom, and you get to see the grab in Eternal. Your hopes and dreams are no more alive. TBH now finding their spot up onto the scoreboard.
Yeah, TBH will not go quietly into this good night. They want to make sure that they have something to say in this grand finals here for SPCS Season 4.
Yeah, a well-done game there, especially up on this push mode. Just seeing how quick these teams were going up on Runasapi. So much favorited moments from this TBH squad were shown, and the way to aggress after every single fight, Wana. It was truly impressive to say.
Yeah, I mean, really, it just seemed like TBH was just setting the pace of every one of these fights. They were going first. They were using their ult first. They were acting decisively, and in a way that I really don't think that they acted maybe as much in the first map and the second map. And really, really good stuff for them. I mean, it can be tough to get in your head as a player and say, we're down 2-0 in a grand finals. We feel like we should be beating these guys. We feel like we know that we've beaten these guys before. But, once again, I think it comes back to mental fortitude. It's like, you have to have the mental fortitude to understand that, like, not everything's going to go your way.
Runasapi for our push map. So that's all quick style maps. Now we're going to be relying up on Hybrid and Escort, which will now stabilize some slower compositions possibly, or maybe they will just want to do the same exact thing they are always trying to do on those other maps.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting into some prime Boomer Watch territory with, some of the most classic maps that Overwatch has ever had. And these maps do oftentimes favor a different style of composition. They can play very differently than Push. They can play very differently than Flashpoint. And, not only that, but now as we're working our way deeper into the series, bans are going to start to open up, right? You've probably banned your best hero so far, right? You probably used a lot of your bans that you were going to rely on. And so now teams are going to have more freedom to pick what they normally would pick, what they feel is strongest for them.
Oh, look at that. Eternal's like, no, TBH. Let's go to Scrim's Row, the most favorited map that every single Overwatch esports player loves. King's Row for this next one. Eternal, they want to bring this one back. They want to show TBH that we're the ones that are rewriting the story here. And I think this is a well-proven map. Now, if TBH doesn't ban a very good hero off of what we just got to see up on that Runasapi, there was a lot, right? But if they don't ban Azaria, I will be extremely surprised.
It'll be interesting. I wonder, I saw not TBH, I saw EDC earlier ban the Reinhardt. I wonder if Duck is a Ryan player, right? And if they can play Ryan, if that almost favors them into Zarya, right? Ryan can be very, very effective against Zarya. And the Mei, which they also played, was also very effective against Zarya. I wonder how worried they are about that Zarya, especially because I think, they seem to be pretty comfortable in the Zarya themselves.
Oh, Farah getting picked here from TBH, IDEK. As now we are approaching that hybrid territory. A very, very interesting ban, as Pharah plays very well in some poke-type compositions. Maybe that's what TBH is trying to think right now, is if Eternal is going to be playing that poke comp. Eternal Big Chungus, though, I'm really wondering what is going to be occurring with their ban here, as this will be pretty interesting to see, as now you have a choice between tank and support.
Yeah, and I think that they're saying, TBH, is that they don't want to go up against Orion on the Pharah here, right? They obviously struggled against it pretty heavily during the first map, and Orion looked really, really comfortable on that hero. And obviously Pharah getting a little bit of adjustment, getting a little bit of buffs in the most recent patch, has become even better than I think she already was, when I think that she was already in, honestly, a quite good state. And on King's Row, you might think that Pharah maybe, not a hero you would traditionally see there, but I think Pharah is quite good on KR.
Okay, we're seeing a double Kiriko ban up on the other side. So you know what that means. They can't ban Kiriko no more in the rest of the series. Yeah, and they just want to take that Kiriko out. It's like they hate Kiri.
Yeah, Kiri has been taken out back, it seems. We have not seen her. She's been MIA for the past 2 maps, which might be the most maps that in human history that Kiriko has never been played in. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously last map we saw a lot of Baptiste Lucio. I'm interested to see, will we see any Ana? Will we see a Wu Yang? Will we see more poke supports here, if that's what either of the teams want to play for?
Yeah, I mean, we might be able to get to see some Juno played here, right? Even a Wu Yang, possibly. BAP is great for poke, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we were able to see that too, but it's all reliant upon what these teams want to pick for their team comps, as we will be rolling into this one very, very shortly. TBH, maybe this is their build back up into this, as Eternal Big Chungus, they were struggling there up in that one, except for the last couple minutes, as, they were trying to push back up in that overtime, but Rias with the Blossom, and they had the grab there for TBH. They couldn't put the work well done into the ground, but Eternal Big Chungus, let's see what you are capable of with this map pick. Scrim's Row, King's Row in this grand finals, first to 4 in this rookie division. Eternal Big Chungus still up on the upper hand with the series scoreline, as we are taking a look at the Outer Worth Hotel. Nice little health pack there by the elevator. But hey, I've never seen anyone work that register in my life as an Overwatch player.
Yeah, I didn't know. Unfortunately, it seems like all of the Omnics that are being escorted out of King's Row have been fired from their jobs. So we'll have to try to get them some severance when we can. We will do our best to support them in their time of need.
Absolutely. TBH and Eternal. Very, very interesting compositions here. I'm seeing Dire Raven up on a Mercy. Do we think that this will be played? Wait, am I seeing Dominoes up in chat? Okay, hold on, Duck kind of cooking. A Mercy Lifeweaver. No, all right, yeah, they love trolling me. It's like they always do this to me. Eternal Big Chungus against a TBH IDEK up on this fantastic, fashionable King's Row.
Yeah, speaking of Boomer Watch, right? This is about as traditional and standard as a Brawl comp you can get, right? You're playing the Mei. You're not necessarily playing the Cass anymore. You're playing the Emre, but this is still, shades of 2016.
Ooh. Yeah, shades of 2016. I agree. Duck will up on the Dire Raven. This is the first pick here up in this King's Row, but Duck getting picked here. Eternal Big Chungus. Now they're putting some strength over TBH, and hey, they were the first one to touch that objective, and they really backed up TBH there.
Yeah, that did not take EBC long at all, and you will see immediately TBH is making swaps to try and make Davion's life hell, right? They have played the Bastion, which is a little dishonorable maybe, but you know, it is still legal. We will still allow it.
Alright, here we go. We still got the Mei up on the side of Eternal. Mei has been pretty well played here in this series alone from both the two squads. Reyes playing the Bastion. That'll be very, very interesting against the Mei walls that Mei is able to amplify. Duncan with the window as they are backing up here for TBH. So very well done here from their squad.
Yeah, and they're backing up, but they do get basically that entire bend of the cart for free, right? They're making almost halfway through this point, you know, without almost being contested at all.
Here goes Orion. They will have the Blizzard up in hand for their ultimate economy. The Ryan Shatter for Eternal. Big Chungus is charged as well. Does that land up on anyone? No, but Duncan is able to get the pick up onto things. So TBH not working with their Sojourn as of this moment. Eternal Big Chungus. Look at the numbers. Oh, Duck getting the pick up onto them as Duck once more up on the Dire. But the Mei is cooking. They are freezing them.
Yeah, I was about to say, you know, nature is healing. We've got a fatty shatty in the year 2026. Orion and Churd just say, no, we're not going to lose. We're going to, you know, kill the entire team, cap up this point.
Yeah, TBH. Just look at that ultimate economy looking so deadly. As Reyes wants to go quick here. Gets up on the Churd, but here goes this ultimate. Will it land much more? The backline doing well to amplify their team. And the heals are showing here up in this fight.
Yeah, and once again, even to pick down, they're still giving EBC a lot of space here. And with, you know, a huge time bank to work with, they got to start working through some of this.
All right, Human with the window here up on TBH. They clock out from Finks. Onto Orion. Eternal and TBH right now, both even. 4v4. As, hey, maybe they just want to reset here with your Eternal. You want to go up in here, well numbered. I think that's what both the squads are doing. Ultimate's up on both the sides though. Churd with the Emery ult, trying to peek this corner. Puts it right up into a shield. Dire Raven though popping the B. Blind popping the B. Finks popping the ult. But it's not finding anything. None of the ults are finding nothing.
Yeah, they use 3 ults there and they find nothing. And now that's going to put them in a hole as they're trying to push back into the Shatter and into this Bastion ult.
Alright, here goes Bastion, Reyes. Get a little sneaky there up in the back line. Has the Bastion ultimate just like how you said, but the Shatter getting Orion. Don't have your Mei no more. Reyes following up on the Dire Raven. Here goes the the ride as Duncan is falling off the map here for Eternal. And now they just got to reset again, right? This third point, it's going to be really hectic.
Yeah, and this is, you know, a really hard point to push into, right? You have to almost break this with ult. You really either need ults or you need a miracle pick, and using those ults and getting nothing was really costly for them. And now, as I said, they're going to be swapping to the Hanzo.
All right, the Hanzo pick. Let's see how that works well with Churd. I know Churd has played that Hanzo up in the past, especially with my player performance. I've played against Churd up in a couple past performances, and hey, I say Churd has gotten me a couple times, even though I played that Lucio hero. TBH, they're looking for this next fight, as Eternal has these ults, as they're going really, really quick here.
Yeah, they do manage to push the Rhine back. They are getting all of this space. We'll see if they can capitalize on it.
Oh, the Shatter, not finding much there. But the Rhine falling down here. Duck not no more up in this one. TBH wants to set up Reyes up here, up on the side. They use his cryo, and they cap with 253. So the round 1 getting completed here for Eternal. 253 up on the clock. Take a look at that stat line. TBH. Something was happening there up on their defense.
Yeah, and I wonder if there was a miscommunication there at the end. It seemed like there was members available to be able to touch and contest that, and then you know, the Bastion obviously kind of taking his own duel and nobody ends up touching, and they just push it in for free.
Yeah, and this is very interesting. It seems to be TBH actually has more numbers going into the fights, especially with the eliminations and the damage that I'm getting to see here, but that is super, super interesting. But you still have Eternal Chungus cap that with the 2 minutes and so on. But that wasn't too bad, right? They did stop them. But do you think TBH wanted to take that time down a little more?
For sure. I mean, on a map where you have to potentially go into overtime here, right? You would love, obviously you'd love to not have to go into that situation at all, but you would love to at least get them down below a minute to the zero time left mark, so that if we do go into overtime, that you have a better shot here. And obviously EBC able to come in here and snowball pretty quickly, and TBH I'm sure is also capable of that. But EBC at this point could really just try to milk time as much as possible.
Alrighty, let's see what happens. One side now up on the attack, and the other up on the defense for the first time in this King's route. Well, damage already getting applied here from both the two sides. TBH wants to play this one a little careful here up into the hotel. Eternal Big Chungus, they're also playing this one well. They know the way to position. They got the Emre up on top, but TBH kind of up in a struggle here. They got to be careful. The Rhine putting themselves forth as Eternal Big Chungus. You still get to see those numbers of damage getting put up onto the line of TBH.
Yeah, and a little bit of a stylistic difference in comps here, right? EBC is with Emre. TBH has the Bastion, right? So TBH is going to have certain windows where they are favored, but when that turret farm is down, they have far less resources to be able to take this fight.
Alright, Emre using the pistol there up into the corridor. Long hallway usage. Duck able to follow one up onto Davian. As Churd, Duncan able to get some picks here. TBH and Eternal trade for trade. Right now, 3v3. Numbers more siding for possibly Eternal. No! Said that one wrong as Blind read my words, and Reyes also read my words. Reyes wants more up in the kill fade. Here goes TBH.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Q-Man, right? It might not have looked like a lot. That solo window that he got the pick on EBC, I think was the difference maker in them winning that fight.
Yeah, very much so. I really do like what this backline is capable of doing against ABC. Especially with them rocking the same thing, right? The Lucio BAP. You gotta be quick here if you're running these compositions. And EBC are the ones to do it. Possibly.
Yeah, they kind of just run in with the Blizzard, with the Rhine charge, and they take all of the space. They use the ult to be able to get that Reinhardt out of the way and start getting his payload moving on down the lane.
Yeah, moving and grooving. Dancing up on the dance floor. If you are TBH. They want this one for themselves here. They don't want Eternal in this match point scenario. TBH though, they gotta back up. Nice way to use the wall. As now they are not taking that corner. They're holding that position. They know that that window is there. But once that window falls, you'll get to see Duck possibly pop that Rhine Shatter. That's probably that next ultimate. That will be the threat. But the Blizz, the beats, two ultimates, but the Shatter, Eternal wants to add some numbers, but Duck wants some more. There's so much coming out here from both of the two squads, as TBH might have the upper hand, but Churd wants to have something. Is Churd going to be able to find some answers? Yes, Churd up on the one, but gets followed up on by Reyes.
Yeah, what an ult fiesta that fight just was, right? I thought EBC was definitely going to take it there after they invested the Shatter, but ultimately able to sustain through the crazy amounts of damage coming out from EBC.
Yeah, EBC, they're falling down though. You gotta be worried for this squad as Arias counting up more up in the kill feed, showing off as the May player here for TBH. 3 ultimates up on the board here for this left-hand squad. TBH, Eternal only having 1.
Yeah, and this is the crucible for TBH to see if they can win this map. This is the toughest part of the map. This is the part of the map where, like I was saying earlier, you really need ults to break this. So let's see how they play their ult economies here and who can get the better of who.
Nice way to use the wall there from Reyes, also using the cryo freeze, but you gotta be aware what Finks is able to do here with that Bastion ultimate. Duck able to apply so much there for that fight, and it leads to 2 picks. So you don't have the Mei, you don't have the BAP or the Rhine, and you only have your Lucio and your Emre, and Eternal needs to back up so quickly here and do a fast reset, because if they don't, you're going to see TBH so close, and they will be using that Rhine Shatter.
Yeah, and TBH has some good tools here to close it out. They have the Shatter, they have the Bap Window, right? There is a Mei ult on the side of EDC. We'll see which can get more value in this coming fight.
Oh, here goes the Mei ultimate. But the Mei ult and the Rhine Shatter, I mean, this is going more up in the favor of Eternal, man. This is all favoring them as TBH. They got swept.
Yeah, that was tough. I saw the attempt from Duckwa to Shatter. The 360 Shatter looked really cool. It did not accomplish, I think, what he was hoping to accomplish.
It's kind of giving me the vibes of the XQC rollout.
Yeah, no, he gets some swag points for that, but I don't think he gets much else.
Well, welcome to the jungle here up in King's Row with both of the two squads. TBH ready to go with the window here from Q-Man. Lions also building up that beat matrix. Q-Man, though, using the window, wants to amplify some damage and some heals up on to their squad and the other squad. But Eternal Big Chungus, they gotta be careful here. I love the way that they're defending it, but TBH, they're following in with some picks, and it's getting a little worrisome.
Ooh, but a big
the
Shatter!
Shatter! That's big stuff. But the Blizz here, I don't think this fight's over just yet. TBH wants to keep this one moving and grooving. The boat is still selling out up in the open ocean. And it's not stopping just yet. They might still be able to win this fight here, as the Mei is only there up on the point. But it's got to back up.
Yeah, and once again, the danger of this point is because as you are getting to the end here, the spawners are so close to being able to just come back in the fight instantly, right? They can have that fight where Dire even dies, but is instantly back in the fight, and they're able to turn it as they are getting spawners in.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by Dire, Raven, and Churd being up on the same team together, especially up on this Eternal Big Chungus squad. Last time, you know what? Hey, talking about Dire, popping the beat matrix. They get to see the Rhine Shatter land, not up onto much. As Eternal Big Chungus, they're going to be able to handle this scenario and read the scenario very much well. As Q-Man just saying, hey, I got to reset up in this one, and they both definitely do. But going back to Dire, Raven, and Churd, these two players have been in grand finals before, and they are showing up here on King's Row.
Yeah, Duckwa invested the Shatter in that fight, and now we're getting into the danger zone, right? If they don't start capping this soon, if they cap it at all, they could find themselves not even with a chance to win this map.
All right, highway to the danger zone here up in King's Row. Q-Man, Finks popping some ultimates here from TBH, but Finks, huge Bastion ultimate, the Blaze here from Orion. Let's see what happens here. Eternal Big Chungus and TBH, both 2v2, but Duncan able to apply some numbers. And it seems to be Eternal Big Chungus. They hold this one, and TBH needs to have another fight.
Yeah, and I mean, like I was saying, if they cap it at all this point, it'll be really hard to cap with any time to give themselves a shot on this map.
The Rhine Shatter here from Eternal. Reyes with the Blizz. Reyes popping off. That's the second headshot up in the kill feed. Final 7 seconds here. TBH wants more. Oh, the boop! But the Bastion survives! What was that? Who knows what? Duck able to follow up on the Duncan, and now you're getting to see that overtime push here from TBH. The Ryan wants to come in. The Lucio wants to come in. Eternal Big Chungus just having possibly some hopes, but Dire Raven up on the blind. The Shatter here from Duck, and now it's gonna secure possibly a spot here. No, Duck is dead! Eternal! What just... Oh, TBH! No way!
Yeah, that was an insane fight from the side of ABC. Once again, really benefiting from the fact that the spawn is so close. I did notice there was some boopage that was happening there. Bastion tried to be boop, and ultimately was not able to confirm that, but Dire Raven says, that's a neat trick, I can do it too. Gets a boop on the side of Lucio from TBH.
Yeah, so much, funny shenanigans happened there up in the end. Like, so much ultimates were dumped in those last 2 minutes up in those fights. I think we gotta do a bio break after this. What do you got to say about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, let these guys catch their breaths. Let these guys figure out, get a drink of water, calm their nerves a little bit. Yeah, they gotta figure out what to do after that one.
All right, guys, we will see you guys very, very shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to this lovely SPCS Series 4 Rookie Division match in between TBH and Eternal. Now, TBH IDEK really close there up in that King's Route against Eternal Big Chungus, but what a story now to say with this Eternal Big Chungus squad. So much stuff, like how we said, happening in the last couple minutes of that King's Route, nearing that overtime push that would have been possibly TBH, but it flipped the script and Eternal put the inner reverse card up on the table and said, hey, no, we're getting up into this one and stopping you guys. And how we were saying up at break, I think that is a huge mental breaker one.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I just got to give a lot of respect to EBC, right? It's easy to come into a match like this where you feel like you're the underdog, or you may feel like you've really struggled against this team before, and have this much confidence and play with this much decisiveness, right? It's easy to second guess yourself. It's easy to think that maybe you're not good enough to beat this team, but they have come in and shown that they have no fear, that they have no quit, that they are able and willing to go the distance here.
Hey, you know what? This is possibly Series 4 for Dire, Raven, and Sherd. Heading up next, Havana in our map set. TBH having that map pick. This one should be really intriguing to watch, especially with how much compositions you could rock up on Havana. But I'm really interested up on how the teams want to position, especially with the comps that they've been running lately.
Yeah, Havana is a map that can often find itself being very poke dominated, right? This is especially first and third point on this map, is a Widow's playground. And so I'm interested to see, and I'd be very excited to see if we got to see some Widow gameplay from either of these teams.
Wouldn't that be so exciting, Wana? Havana, Unana, with a little bit of Widowmaker? Ooh, that'd be the perfect touch to that 5-star dish here up in Havana. But let's see what happens with these two. What do you think, just from the past performance up in this series, Wana, that these teams could do up in this Havana?
It's really hard to know, right? I don't think we've really been on a true poke map before. I don't think we've really been on a map that is truly poke dominated in the way that Havana is. And so, I'll be honest, I don't really know if I know whether or not TBH or EBC here is going to be a better poke team, or maybe they're just going to say, we don't want to, take it there. We don't want to play that poke. We want to play the more brawl style, right? And they would be interested to see, not that we will see necessarily, but a lot of teams will opt into playing that close spawn hold with that brawl. And so if either of the teams feel like that's really a strong look for them, they might opt into that at the very beginning of the match here.
I agree. It's either that where they hold the spawn door around that close corner to the spawn door, or they want to play the long sight range with either like an Ashe or a Widowmaker and try and find some value in their DPS. But yeah, a lot of interesting compositions that we might be seeing here up in Havana. I'm really, really excited for this one, Wana. Are you excited for this Havana Unana?
Oh, I am pumped. I am excited. I'm hoping that we will get to see a little bit of compositional difference from these teams here and see how their class of styles will play into each other, right? This is a TBH map pick. Obviously, TBH feels like they can play this map strongly if they were to pick it.
Yeah, I'm really excited, though. What are the bands going to be up on Havana? What are they going to be turning the tides for?
I'm interested to see. Maybe we get that big hit scan band here.
Oh, wait. Hey, I mean, one is cooking. Hey, the Soj can take it out. Eternal Big Chungus. They take out the Sojourn, and that was a big threat, right? We got to see it in the past couple maps in this series, and Soj has been putting in some nasty work, but now you have TBH trying to pick a ban. It's either tank or support. But Wana, what do you think this is going to be?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm interested. They could opt to ban maybe the Lucio here if they would want to play that more poke style. Oftentimes teams will ban Lucio when they want to try and force a team into a poke mirror or something more advantageous for a poke mirror. If not, I could maybe see the Zarya being banned, although I wonder if Zarya is the pick for here.
I just saw Sigma get banned. Wait, are they banning poke? Is this what I'm seeing? Well, wait, you can still play Domina, as we haven't gotten to see a Domina played here in between these two teams. But now I'm feeling like these two teams might just want to be siding more with the Zarya type comps or a dive.
It's certainly possible, right? I think dive is a little hard to make work, especially on first point here. So I would be a little surprised if we saw it, but stranger things have happened, right? We could be playing Lifeweaver here. Who knows?
Yeah, Lifeweaver, Mercy, Eternal trolling me there up in the King's Row. I love your logo, but you can't troll me like that, guys. You can't. Yeah, Eternal Big Chungus. They just have stuff cooking for them. I really loved this squad in the entry scene of the season, and I believe I broadcasted over the first match in the Rookie Division in Series 4, and I got to see this Snorlax team build it up against, I think it was Nemesis, and they lost, and I was like, well, what's Eternal doing? But this is a really more improved squad of what they are from the past to what they are now.
Absolutely. I remember watching that game early on. I was watching it as a member of the Eternal org, and we were definitely cheering EBC on. And, from that time to now, they have grown, an immense amount to be able to take it to a team of the caliber of TBH, right? TBH, has been the best team all season, has been an incredible team all season, but EBC seems to have found another gear.
Yeah, the gears have shifted for EBC, and that drive to winning The grand final starts now. They're up on match point here in Havana against TBH IDEK. Let's see what happens here. Rolling out with the compositions. It is do or die here for TBH. Match point is activated in the series of this rookie division grand final.
Yeah, and it might be troll, but we're seeing some interesting compositions come out from both sides here.
And I'm liking what I'm seeing. Domina now getting played here from Eternal. This is kind of like something that I highlighted with a poke comp. And they are going to be relying up on Zen Discords, as we're getting to see an Omnic there, right up on the wall. Funny name, too.
Yeah.
But TBH, what are we thinking about the comp that they're going to be rocking up into? They're going to be really, really scared, probably.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get basically a poke into Brawl composition here. TBH is going to roll out on the Brawl. EBC is going to roll out on that poke composition.
Alrighty, here goes the poke, the Brawl here up in the Urana of Havana. Fink's able to find one up on the chart to start this battle off in Havana. But now Fink's up onto the Emre matching churn, so there will be a fight in that DPS pool. As TBH, they're moving this payload with some great escort charge here against Eternal, but here goes the damage amplifying into one of the squads as Eternal needs to be a little careful here around this roundabout. Could get a little dangerous if Duck just wants to follow up in.
Absolutely, and a lot of this is going to come down to, can TBH ID even get in the face of EBC before they are all dead to the poke, right? Can they play fast enough where they can end the fight quickly?
Yeah, talking about getting up into their faces. TBH wants to find some answers back. Duck and Finks up onto the Zom and the BAP. Eternal losing 2 players there. But TBH still rolling forward here. As though now, if you are EBC, going with a Ram.
Yeah, it's an interesting compositional choice. I would expect Duncan to probably swap, or not Duncan, actually probably in this case, Duncan would probably swap to the BAP. Dire would probably swap to Lucia. Right now, you're playing a Ram without speed, which is going to make your Ram's life pretty hard.
Yeah, they're going to have to be really, really careful here. Oh, the Shatter! That was big, but it doesn't find much as the Ram just doing a great job to block there. Eternal Big Chungus, they gotta be careful though here up in this indoor space as Reyes and Finks able to find some entry picks there up in that fight.
Yeah, and they do invest the Shatter, they do invest the ults for it, but they are rewarded with the kills that they need to keep the cart rolling on.
Absolutely, TBH. Now they still have these picks rolling up in their favor, but now we see a Reaper up on EBC. We know how deadly that was up in the Runasapi matchup against TBH. But here goes Rias with the Bastion ults, trying to find something here. Will it rain up on any of the enemies? Not very so much.
No, the forecast is looking quite dry for today.
Ooh, interesting boot play there from Blind. And some here up on the team here. Rias up on to the Ram of Eternal EBC, falling down short. Rias once more. Finks up on the Dire. And Q-Man. Now you have TBH getting 5 minutes. That's a whole bunch of time for this time bank up on the 3rd.
Right, this is kind of shades of King's Row, except the shoe's on the other foot, right? TBH is pushing the pace aggressively, and they are getting really, really active. And they have a pretty impressive time bank to get it all the way to the end of 3rd here.
All right, let's see what happens here. Davion gonna have the Ramotra ult. Annihilation. It's gonna be deadly if it goes around a corner with a speed from Dire. That's probably the only thing that they can do if you're ABC. But TBH, oh, they're getting a pick. Finks followed that one up pretty well up on the Duncan. EBC, though, they need to start playing this careful, as they do miss the Shatter here of your Doc. But well done from EBC to rotate out of that.
Yeah, that's, basically the worst pick you could have happen to you there, right? If you lose your BAP, it's really, really hard to stay active in that fight. So you kind of just have to give up and give up all the space as you're waiting for that respawn.
And Davion gonna have the Annihilate ready to go. The Annihilation here from EBC. So much damage getting put up into the Ramatra. Reyes able to follow one up on the Dire. Here goes Reyes with the rain down of the Bastion ult. But Blind able to follow up onto the Ram, and Reyes once more up onto the Freya. TBH looking good here as they move this one forward, and Duck shutting down the map.
Yeah, and I think it might be all over with the crying here. They will get a touch, but it's going to be really difficult to get back into the fight.
Alright, here we go. This fight starts here once more. Duck here with 2, showing the strengths of that Reinhardt glorious player. And now TBH, I mean, you are such in a nice spot here against Eternal. They might be really trying to build back this climb up of this hill.
Yeah, and they must have a sweet tooth because they just put a pie up on the board on the time bank for their final attack there.
Yeah, so looking back at that fight, Eternal having some struggles against how TBH were positioning against their ways of positioning, right? And, you got to see the backline get picked. Maybe that's what led to Eternal falling down so quickly. But Eternal, I liked the composition that they were running with from the start. Are we going to be able to see something like that again? Or do you think something like a change or a swap would be best benefit?
It's hard to say. I think that the EBC's comp should, in theory, be favored, right? If you play your angles really strongly, right, and you have a really good understanding of how you need to play in order to beat the Brawl comp. I do think that on a map like this, EBC's comp was stronger, right? But it did often feel like they were just kind of not taking angles very effectively. And because of that, they were just allowing themselves to be walked on and overwhelmed.
Yeah, look at this. This is something that you highlighted before we went up into the Havana. Here goes TBH. They want to start this one off really, really strong. And now Orion up onto the Vara. Orion's going to apply some pressure from the air. And TBH only has Emre as a hit scan player. But Reyes getting so low. But the pin coming in here. TBH, they're now backing up in this fight. Duck getting some pressure up onto their shoulders. But Reyes able to find one up onto the Farah. TBH in a nice set standard position. As now, they're the ones to follow up on this fight and get this one for themselves.
Yeah, they will clean this fight, pretty reasonably easy. And this is just time that is dripping and away, right? You do even make that swap from Dire Raven onto the Zenyatta, but every second that you buy here, especially with the time bank you have, is, really, really valuable time bought.
Yeah, that's also crucial too, right? And if they pull a mistake, that is just like that one. Duck falling, Reyes falling. It's going to change the tide. And now it is. The whole entire team fight now pushing forward here for Eternal Big Chungus, as now they're going to have some payload progress. But I really did like what TBH had there. They held the spawn door very, very well, and they took a lot of time off from the start of that engage fight.
Absolutely. And they get a minute off the time bank, which is, they will take that every day of the week.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting. The Bastion out here, ready to go up in this one of Eternal Big Chungus. Getting popped here. Both Bastion ultimates getting popped. They're escorting the payload here. This is a little hard to say in between these two, as there's ults getting popped all across the board. Bastion from Eternal following up on one, and you also get the pick here up onto the Lucio if you're IDEK.
Ooh, yeah.
That's something.
They will certainly get the better. It looked like that fight might turn in the side of EBC, but they definitely will get the better eventually, right? And look where the bot, or look where the cart is at the moment, right? They didn't even get it halfway kind of there to the end. So even if they had won that fight with ults, they may still have had to face a second fight from the side of TBH.
Yeah, TBH here against Eternal Big Chungus. TBH still holding this one pretty well against Eternal, as this one might get a little slower here for Eternal. He's falling up into some of these fights, but Rias wants some more. Getting a pick. Oh yeah, it's just going more up into the favor of this right-hand squad as, hey, I think red proves a little more than blue here up in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, throwing it back to the Rooster Teeth days with that one, but you know, really, TBH has not allowed EBC to have much of a say in this map, right? They've been dominant from their attack to their defense here, and it's looking like if they can keep playing as cleanly as they will, you know, pretty easily take this map.
Let's see what Eternal can do here with this fight. They fought the Dragons with the Amplified Window, but TBH, they want to still put some stuff up into the lines of sight here of Eternal. But here goes the Bastion ultimate here for the Chungus squad. As now you're seeing some players fall down here on the TBH squad. Can TBH, though, get back up into this fight?
They might be able to. I wonder if they will think better of it and just decide that they want to get a better contest on second. They want to have better positioning, right? Because they are in the driver's seat. They know their objective in this map. They are able to play it at their own pace, right? They have already set a blazing fast time, so they can play more for their own win conditions rather than playing for these desperation touches.
Yeah, here we go. TBH, IDEK. Oh, the Ryan chatter coming out. Doesn't find much. No, but Rias up the Bastion. Doesn't find much either. TBH able to follow up onto a pick here of the Bastion, but the Ryan getting the Bastion pick right back. So both of the Bastions are out here on the Savannah secondary.
Yeah, and now it seems like EBC will finally be able to make some progress, but this point is kind of notoriously difficult to attack as a point B because you have all of these high grounds that can be really oppressive to fight into.
Ooh, getting the pick there. Nice one there for Eternal. Now it's a 5v4 scenario. TBH, gotta play careful here up in the numbers of what Eternal has. Nasty ultimate here could be the play of the game. But wow, that is very much well played here from Eternal, as now we're just seeing TBH fall down short up in these fights.
Oh, but maybe TBH has something to say about this.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. The Emery ult. There from TBH. Oh, being shut down, but the beat here. Getting popped from TBH. Hey, you know what? Eternal, they're reading every single thing that TBH has up in the back of their minds. As Eternal Big Chungus, they are still going to be moving this one forward. And now they're up on this third consecutive point.
Yeah, they're going to keep marching right along. And obviously, you know, you never want to jax any type of ult there. But I don't know that TBH is sweating that much, right? They are still in pole position. They still have really, you know, one of the toughest parts of this map to play around. And they have such a massive time bank advantage that it's going to be hard for EBC to be able to fight into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what happens here. As TBH and Eternal are fighting this one out here up on this Havana. Having a little bit of technical difficulties. But yeah, I think this is going to be very, very interesting either way of what happens. Oh, there we go. We're back and we get to see a nasty shatter happen. Finks up on to the Rhine of Eternal and EBC. They still have this 1 minute. But what can they do with the 1 minute?
Well, they're going to have to do something with it if they want to keep themselves alive in this map, right? They're going to have to be able to make some kind of miracle happen here on this Havana, right? I don't know if I would call it a miracle on 34th Street, maybe a miracle on Havana, but they're going to have to do something here.
All right, let's see what happens here. Will there be a miracle here up on Havana? What will be the answer in this next fight? The 30 seconds will tell, with Eternal Big Chungus having those two strong backline support ultimates. But Churd just seeing at literally 1 HP, still getting the pick here off of Rias. TBH now with a 4-man squad. as Eternal Big Chungus. You get to see that Shatter now up in, and Eternal. This is gonna be now their fight as they are moving this one forward, and now they still got a shot here up in the Savannah.
Yeah, and what a great set of plays, right? I feel like the ultimates were used almost par excellence from EBC, right? I saw Orion was taking a duel and with his Bastion against the enemy Bastion, and just as they were, on the cusp of death, the beat comes in. They're able to kill the Bastion, which is really what sets up them being able to snowball that fight.
I'm really trying to think, though. You have EBC with 1 minute, comparing it to 4 minutes and 14. That's quite a time bank differential. But does time be the major thing in this game? I mean, if you got a minute, you could work with it. It's not like they don't have time. You definitely have it here. This 1 minute will tell to see if EBC can get back into TBH. But thinks Reyes, they have been something for this TBH squad since the start of this Savannah.
And it's hard to imagine, with the time bank advantage that EBC will be able to outpace TBH here. But crazier things have happened. I mean, we could see, if EBC plays their cards right, if they play excellently here, they could even full complete the map again if they really, were capable of it.
Yeah, I would love to see that, another showstopper moment. You're possibly here from Eternal Big Chungus, but the battle has started and that 1 minute has commenced. TBH needs to be careful here, even though if they have that higher time bank, we don't know just yet what Eternal is capable of with that composition rolling out. Oh, okay, all right, Blind getting picked here. 5v4 scenario, TBH falling down up in numbers. Duncan getting the pick here up on the duck, and now Eternal Big Chungus finding some picks here in a great success.
Yeah, and really good work from Orion and from Dire Raven to, work together to synergize to be able to get that pick on Blind. It will look like that Orion will stay on the Pharah here with Dire Raven going over to Lucio. So interesting to see, not as much support for Orion here, but clearly that hasn't mattered for him in the past. He still put out a great performance.
Alright, Eternal Big Chungus losing Dire Raven here up in this fight. Overtime has been ticking. TBH finding some numbers here up in this kill feed. Thinks Reyes dead. Duncan, oh yeah, Blind just shuts that one down. Round 3 completed here for Eternal's attack, but this is better than nothing. They at least got some progress there with their push, but can we see this Eternal Big Chungus squad come back and shut down TBH?
Yeah, it would be, a huge ask to do that here, especially with how much cart progress they got. But I can imagine that EBC, kind of understands this, that they kind of realize that they didn't necessarily get the push they wanted here. I would be surprised if EBC didn't come out and play a spawn hold of their own here.
Yeah, it's going to be something to tell here in between these two. Havana always set up good for some nice poke, especially some brawl. We both get to see the lines up on both the two sides, but look at that. Is TBH going to be... I was about to say, if they were rocking the Wu Yang, that would have been really intriguing to tell, but TBH trying to decide.
We will see the Widow, though, from the side of Finks, and if I'm recalling correctly, I believe Finks opened up the first point last time when they were on their attack with an opening pick, and then I believe he basically got the pick and then went back and said, "I got my one. I'm gonna go back to spawn and change now."
Oh, okay. Here's TBH. They want to rock the Wu Yang. Wu Yang is rolling out here. They got the Widow. Finks. Let's see how this works out. Oh, they got to be careful of that Lucio, right? We know what Frogger could do to some Widowmakers.
Yeah.
Eternal Big Chungus. Oh, they are just falling down. What a fight that was from TBH.
Yeah, that was a very, very quick, very decisive fight here. And now EBC on the spawn. Wow. Yeah, they're going to have to go as fast as possible to be able to even get a touch here.
Some trash talk up in the match chat here in between these two teams. Hey guys, this is the rookie division. Maybe they're treating it like the advance. The tell competition here in between these two teams showing up here as the Ryan needs to stay alive. EBC, oh yeah, it's not gonna work here for you. TBH, they're gonna get this one, and now the score line here up in the series going 3-2. TBH getting this secondary, but hey, you know what? This is what we get to see up in some championships. Some trash talk, and that's the interesting part of it, right? If you have too much of an ego, you might lose some fights, and it might go the other way.
Yeah, no, and, you know, I honestly love to see it, right? You love to see players being passionate and players, you know, putting their all here, right? And obviously, you know, probably if you're TBH, this series hasn't gone the way you necessarily thought it would. And so good to see TBH keeping their head above water, you know, keeping themselves confident, ready to make this,
look at that,
you know, potentially a map 7.
Yeah, stat numbers showing up really, really well there from both of the two squads. TBH now setting a standard against this Eternal Big Chungus squad. A well done start up on their attack. They're up on Havana Unana against Eternal Big Chungus. Hey, I love that. I think I've like implemented that. But EBC, this is still a team that, you know, strikes a pose into TBH, right? TBH still needs to be careful.
Right, and I mean, it's tough here, right? TBH did well getting that map in the previous map, but they still have a mountain to climb, right? They still have to win 2 more maps before EBC can even take one. And so, you know, now as we are entering into EBC's map pick, I'm interested to see where they will bring us, right? And it was an interesting map choice from TBH last pick, because I honestly was surprised to see TBH run out on the Brawl on a map like Havana. I was honestly interested to see that was the case, and I wonder if EBC wasn't expecting that, and that's kind of how they got taken by surprise at first.
Yeah, and for the ones that are joining in here, we have played all our 5 consecutive maps in our usual series, which would be a best of 5, but this one in this grand final is a best of 7, so it's first of 4, and Eternal Big Chungus still up on this match point territory. Taking a look at the map pool here, maybe they will try and go for something that they're more comfortable with their team composition. What are we feeling like that they're going to be picking here, Wana?
If I'm being honest, Ilios is pretty dive favorite, and I think Busan has a bunch of, you know, dive favorite points too. If they want to go back to their, you know, Brawl ways, I think Oasis could be the choice here.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. Oasis, Ilios, Busan. But if they go those control maps, do you think they'll ban the Lucio? They did ban the carry, but do you think they would ban the Lucio? Because we did get to see some nasty Lucio play from both the two.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if either team banned the Lucio at this point. I think both teams have really, really seemed to rely heavily on that in their compositions. And you know, obviously, pretty hard to make the Rhine comp work, pretty hard to make a Zarya comp work without that Lucio. And you could, you know, play that Juno, but a lot of these players have been playing Lucio for years, and a lot of these players, these main supports, have, you know, the most experience on Juno and probably feel like they can get the most out of that hero. So they may want to choose to try to protect that hero if possible.
I agree. You know, if I was up in this match and if the Lucio was getting banned, I wouldn't even have another hero to play. I'd probably just opt in some Mercy, because I'm the guy that rocks the Lucio 24/7. Maybe that's why I'm rocking green. Who knows? Anyways, here we go. Map set. We're actually going to Blizzard World. More poke, possibly more Brawl. This is exciting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I would be surprised. I would be shocked if we didn't see some type of Zarya composition from EBC, right? It's what has worked for them in the past. I think if they play it again, they can see if it'll work again, right? They've had a lot of success with it. I think, you know, why try to fix what's not broken?
All right, here we go. Blizzard World against TBH, taking on Eternal here in our map 6 of this series. If we head to a map 7, that is going to be crazy. Wouldn't it be just spectacular to see that happen? The last time we saw two teams in the Rookie Division Grand Final, the final scoreline was 4-2. But can they break that and head to a map 7 and have it like a 4-3. I really want to see that happen, because having the same thing happen a little, a couple more times there and then, it's a little, something.
Yeah, and we might, who knows? We might wind ourselves back up on control, and maybe it'll go the distance. Maybe it'll go all 3 points, 99 to the end of the fight. That would be an incredible series on top of the incredible series that we've already had here for you guys tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be something. I guess we could just talk about, Eternal once more. They have players that have been in this previous spot that have failed and succeeded. So there's probably a lot of stuff going through their minds right now. They don't want to build too much of an ego. Their mental wants to stay positive. They don't want to be going down the slope negative. They want to stay at that steady rate. So Wana, if you have to say anything about EBC, what do you think it is?
I think, I wonder, and I, have pointed this out earlier, I wonder if it's the veteran experience that a lot of these EBC players will start to make a difference here, right? A lot of these players have been around in the tournament scene for a while and have had pretty significant tournament experience and have been through the ups and downs of, winning and losing and succeeding and failing in these tournaments. And, that ability to steady yourself and to take a breath and to get yourself and your team refocused, it may prove to be a big difference as we go throughout the rest of this match.
Absolutely. You said it well enough here. And we're taking a look at the bans. Zarya and Lucio. Oh, this is something to say. As Zarya and Lucio have been played basically this whole entire series. Isn't that so much funny? That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I honestly really like this from both teams here. I honestly really think this is very smart banning from both teams, right? TBH knows that the Zarya comp is the strength of ABC, and ABC, last map, I'm sure they probably went in, they wanted to play that poke composition, they wanted to play that poke style, and one of the main reasons they failed was because of that Lucio rush, right? And so they are not obviously going to be rolling out the Zarya composition here, but maybe if they give that poke composition, maybe if they play that Domina again here, it'll find a lot more success without the Lucio able to rush the Rhine into your face and hammer everybody down.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens here. This is going to change up their whole entire composition of what they want to run. And here goes the first couple sightseeings of these two comps up on both of the sides. I'm liking what Duncan and Dire Raven are opting in to do here for this backline. Kiri Wu Yang would be such a smart choice for EBC.
Yeah, it's a very strong backline. Obviously a little greedy, right? It doesn't give you as much safety as that Lucio, normally does. Without the Lucio on the map here, it's going to be a lot easier to play it. And I think it'll be really, really interesting to see, can Dire even live against the monkey on the side of TBH? I don't even know.
All right, here we go. It all depends here up in our Blizzard World Map 6 here, taking on Eternal Big Chungus and TBH IDEK. Let's see what happens here as both the two squads are rolling out. The Widowmaker not finding too much here from Finks, now swapping over to the Sojourn. Iana playing well up in the back there, not too much up in the open space to where the Iana could get shot at. So well positioned there from TBH, but EBC, they got to be careful here, especially with Duck diving as the Winston.
Yeah, and they take a lot of space here, right? They're doing well playing around their positioning, right? They're not just immediately going for very greedy dives. They're setting up their dives very, very well and, casually encroaching on the space of EBC.
And Davion getting a pick here off of Arias. Arias dead here, no more Tracer up in the lines. Finks dead. Duncan able to get that pick, but now you're getting to see Arias play the Pharah. This could be something changing here up in this composition for TBH. Maybe they want to bring a little more aggro play, or maybe they want to stagger Eternal just a bit to focus more in the air than what is up on the ground.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Rias approaches this fight.
Rias getting a wonderful pick here, taking out the Genj. Eternal now needs to work with 4 against 5. But TBH still needs to be careful, especially up on how they want to position this. They are forcing abilities. They read that the Kiri cleanse was popped, but Fink's able to get one off to Churd and Duck following up onto Duncan, as it looks to be Wana. TBH might just be rolling in for this point capture.
They do eventually, get themselves across the line, but it's not a terrible situation for ABC, right? They burn half of the time bank, so ultimately, obviously you'd love to burn more, but I still think that both teams are feeling quite happy about where they are in this map.
Absolutely. I gotta agree with you here, Wana. TBH, they are putting up a show here. They want to build back up to that 3-3. They want to prove their whole entire community here watching this grand final happen that they are the team to come back into this one and win the championship. But who's to say? TBH has the Nano ready to go. Possibly that will be used up on the Rias, but Rias needs to be extremely careful. Here goes the one ult that Sig can use very well, but EBC not able to find much there with it. And it seems to be TBH still escorting that one well as they get the pick up onto Davion, but Duck following up onto Churd. So some great picks there up on the EBC. But EBC having some ultimates as a Tracer pressure not stopping here.
Yeah, and really good work, really heads-up play from Orion. He knew that the monkey was low there, and that he knew that if he went in, he could probably force the primal, and he went in and did just that. So he's turning, he's turning coal into diamonds here, making a good situation into a bad situation, or a bad situation into a good situation.
All right, something deadly will happen here, and that's the pulse that I was talking about. Orion getting that one up on to the Wu Yang of the backline of TBH. Human needs to be careful, getting picked by Orion. But Rias following up on the Churd. Rias still with the barrage. Fink's ready to go with the Soj. And that is getting put up onto Davian. And they're following up on more picks for this EBC squad. As Eternal is set up good. That Winston is cooking. And the jungle is showing.
Yeah, and that was a little bit of a stagger there. But now we're going to go into, a pretty neutral fight. EBC has the Churd's ult. And TBH has overclock, and they have the barrage there to be able to come back and recontest this. But it's really hard to push into this space aggressively, right? Having high ground control is so important in a lot of these fights. It's going to be hard to make this happen.
So true. Here goes Finks getting up on the Churd here. Finks once more up onto Orion. Oh, both the ultimates here of the DPS line here from TBH following up onto so much. And the damage is most definitely showing here. 156 up on the clock, and that payload is getting escorted to that second point. That TBH is so close up in reach. There goes the hand that's about to grab it. Oh, it's getting contested, and this fight is not getting stopped here as the Winston wants to prove something, but Churd with some nasty aim as it keeps EBC against TBH alive.
Yeah, that takes a lot of guts to go for that, right? That was a very nice edge fight. Those are the types of fights that you have to win if you want to win important series like this, right? You have to be able to make clutch plays, and EBC showing up and delivering at really could be the make or break point of this series.
All right, let's see what happens here. The Winston ready to go. Duck with the Nano from Human. As TBH, they're rolling in forward here with those wonderful 2 picks up in the kill feed against Eternal Big Chungus. They want to prove something here against Chungus, that they can get this secondary, and they're doing it well.
Yeah, interesting choice. I was wondering if Davion was going to opt to invest the primal there to stall long enough for his team to get back due to their closeness of their spawn. He decides against it, and so we will be headed right back into third point here.
All right, the Wu Yang here from Dire Raven. Just trying to have some range damage. Not too shabby. EBC though, they have some ultimates up in their economy. Zakwu, the only one to have the ultimate right now of this moment. Also getting a pick up on the Churn. But here goes the Kitsune rush here from Duncan. Oh, Orion up on the Finks. This is going to be a great engage here from Eternal Big Chungus. Orion up onto the Wu Yang. And hey, TBH, they're falling down here once more. And now you're going to be able to get to see this payload progress even further. But are they taking too much aggressive angles as they could have had some payload progression?
Yeah, and that's actually a bigger pick than you might originally think, because without their carry, now they have to give a little space. They have to play a little less aggressive than they might have wanted to play in this fight.
Let's see what happens here. The minute and 5 seconds will tell if TBH can hold their heads high and push it to the third. Rias with the ramp. That's not gonna work here with Mirage. TBH getting shut down here. Eternal Big Chungus popping the Primal Rage as they're doing a nice job defending. But the Reaper, oh no, this is gonna be something for TBH.
Yeah, I really love this adaptation from EBC, right? I was honestly surprised that they made the swap off of the SIG, and I chose not to go back to it here, because in this small space, it's a lot harder to get value from this Winston composition.
Alright, Davion going to Q-Man. Oh, you get to see the Reaper get pick up onto the Soj. Eternal Big Chungus and some nice spots here, just backing up TBH. And yeah, if you're a TBH fan, you gotta be wondering, what are they gonna be trying to do for their re-engage? They need somebody there immediately. Who will it be to answer the question? Will it be Duck? Yes, okay, so they are escorting this, but look at Churd go! This player from the past performing, matches, they are showing it here. Churd doing some spectacular work here up on Eternal Big Chungus and stopping the TBH IDEK squad.
Yeah, and I really want to highlight at the end there, I mean, it was kind of a duel of the hit scans, right? Churd had his override protocol. TBH's, I don't know, Sojourn player, Finks had his overclock, and they both used them. Unfortunately, Finks was not able to find the same value that Churd was. Churd was able to get the better of both Rios and Finks in that fight, and that ultimately means that at this point, TBH, the best that they can hope for is to get a hold somewhere, maybe on B, maybe get a really nice hold on point C, or they will find themselves on the loser's end of this tournament.
All right, yeah, this is going to be one to tell here. Now we're getting to see the squads flip two positions. Now one up on attack and the other up on defense from what they were previously. You just had to say anything about the two squads of what you got to see off of that attack phase that TBH was putting up. What do you think Eternal Big Chungus did well up on their defense?
Yeah, EBC was really effectively able to stall out some of these fights. Honestly, a lot of really good individual performances from, I honestly think, both Orion and Churd. They both had really, big moments to shine on their defense there. We'll have to see. Can TBH's DPS, Rios, and Finks put in that same kind of performance on their defense?
Let's see what happens. 4 minutes up on the clock here, ticking down as it is all or nothing. Match point here up on Blizzard World. If Eternal Big Chungus pushes it all the way of what TBH pushed up on that third, it is game over. And we take another 4-2 in our rookie division, just like last series in this SPCS scene. But let's see what happens. Both the two compositions looking good, working well with a Winston as of this moment. But TBH relying up on the high ground right now, trying to read this rotation. Zakwu knows that the Winston is there, but the whole entire other part of the team is back up against the statue.
Yeah, and what looked like it could be a disaster there for TBH turns into a fight win for them, right? A bunch of players on their side get really low. They're able to collapse well enough on the dive to pick up those kills they need to win that fight.
Yeah, wanna Eternal Big Chungus. They lose that one here though, but what a good fight that was from TBH, IDEK, right? They're working well, especially with the junk up in their lineup, and the backline too with this Winston holding the high ground and stopping the rotation and reading how they're positioning this. Look at Duck go. They just want to say hi to the Sigma, but they need to get out of that because they need some heals.
Yeah, and I like this adaptation from EBC. They realize that TBH's comp is basically meant to deny them dives, to make it very hard for them to dive. So they say, okay, we are just going to play for our own comp strengths instead.
Oh, look at that. The nano up onto the Winston here from Duck. Maybe a little more applied pressure here up onto Eternal Big Chungus if you are Duck. as Duck is pushing them back, but now the Sig doesn't have Rock, has Shield though, but look at Rias go, taking out Dire Raven. Definitely don't want to lose Dire up in these spots. 2 minutes already gone by here up on this attack. That Eternal Big Chungus are trying to cooperate.
Yeah, and you know, well, not all hope is lost, right? Eventually you're going to have to make something happen or all hope will be lost on this map.
All right, Orion ready to go with the duplication. The single also ready to go in the Kiriko Kitsune. Oh, the tire could be massive depending upon who that lands up on. Rias able to follow it up onto the Kiri, so they don't have Cleanse or the Kitsune Rush. But that's following up big. Finks once more up onto the Sig. Finks once more up on the Dire. Rias taking out Churn and TBH. They're the ones getting the picks. But this is still kind of, flipping sides here as... Oh, wait. A little bit of the Brig Echo 1v1 here up on the point of Blizzard World. As Orion now trying to put this capture forth for the EDC squad. But I think Orion needs to get out.
Yeah, and he does successfully get out. This is still a fight that I think is winnable on both sides. We're actually going to see who can outperform the other in this matchup.
All right, the Echo Stickies here from Orion up onto Rias, landing up on TBH's DPS line. But Finks once more, this DPS player from TBH has been showing off on the hit scan roll. Finks once more up in the kill feed. Duncan getting that one up onto Blind. And Eternal with Dire Raven's ultimate. This is going to be basically last fight territory. They're going to have to stage a really quick reset, but with Dire Raven and Chur dying, the hopes and dreams might have been lost here. They need to get back to this point immediately.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really tough, right? You have Orion maybe able to get a touch here. It's going to be really close, and regardless, they probably are not going to get the type of fight that they would like.
Oh my goodness, overtime ticking. Human taking out the Sig. The Nano up onto Blind. They put it up on the brink for this fight. TBH, oh! Duncan going huge! Eternal Big Chungus, they want to say something to TBH. But the Juno still alive here. And getting picked. What a fight that was. I don't even think the ball could get back. And now we are heading to Map 7 territory in the Rookie Division Grand Final. I am so excited. This is not a 4-2 anymore with Naya up on the broadcast. It's now going to be a 4-3 scenario. 3-3 up on the board. TBH matching it well. And here we go, Wana.
Yeah, I mean, this is as close as the series can get, right? We feel like we've been on, the Odyssey, this entire series, right? We started off in such a different place than where we are now, right? We started off, honestly, with TBH looking like half of the team that they looked like in that map. Looking a little lost, and now TBH coming back, and I really giving EBC the business. I think, if I'm being honest, I think EBC is really going to want that one back. I think that EBC really, really needed to close the series out here because ultimately this is a game of momentum to some degree. Right now, all of the momentum is on TBH's side, right? EBC is, been throwing things at the wall, trying to see what sticks, and so far, right now, TBH has been the one coming up with better answers.
Yeah, I gotta agree. TBH did a well-done job there up on their defense tactic against Eternal Big Chungus's attack phase. And it got so close there nearing the end of that fight. I give credit, though, for the Juno. The Juno missiles getting to... I thought that was going to be the turning fight win there, possibly for Eternal. But if the Juno could have won that fight, that would have been an absolute heck of a scene for EVC to just roll forward up in that Blizzard World. But no, we're 3-3, and this just keeps getting more exciting here with Naya and Wana up on the Rookie Division broadcast with TBH, IDEK, and Eternal Big Chungus. I can't wait for this Map 7 as it's just going to be so awesome. What are they going to pick? Are they going to pick Control? Are they going to pick a different escort map, a flashpoint, or a push? There is so much to wait and tell to see in between the two squads, as it could be literally anything, Wana.
Yeah, it is. The world is EBC's oyster right now. They have the deciding final pick, right? And this could be really consequential, right? So many bans have come and gone at this point that both of these teams are going to have a lot of options available to them, and it will be, looks like Atlas actually.
Here we go, SPCS Rookie Division community. We are here, map 7 of this Rookie Division Grand Final, taking on Atlas with 2 of these star-performing teams. DPS lines cooking, support lines cooking, and both of the tanks leading the teams cooking. That's 3 cookings up in 1 Sang. But Atlas, this is gonna be the one to change the tales of the story, to see if EBC could prove that they are still up in the upper hand, because it's more favored as of the moment with TBH.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible map 7 here. I have to wonder if, now that so many bans are out, if EBC and TBH are going to both be on, comps that they feel very, very comfortable on. I wonder if we're going to see that Zarya comp from the side of EBC again. And, I think that both teams, I'm sure that they are in their voice channels right now, talking with their coaches, getting their minds right, preparing for this, final deciding map.
Yeah, it's very, very scary, especially for both of the squads here. This is probably a first time in forever that we are getting to see this happen in the SPCS Series 4 Rookie Division, where it leads on out to this, map 7. But it's going to be something to say, at least, if TBH could really build this story for themselves here and reverse the whole entire script of what was Eternal leading that first half of this one. But Reinhardt and Junkrat getting banned, I don't think these bans will affect what these players and teams are going to be rocking with, because it's more likely that they'll rely upon a quicker backline, probably still rely upon the Sojourn or what they're picking for the DPS, and the tanks, just go with what you got.
Yeah, I honestly wonder if it's going to come down to, what we were saying earlier in the series, that Zarya mirror. I wonder if both teams are going to opt into that and, let the best Zarya, the best Russian win.
Yeah. Can't wait to see it here, SPCS. Are you all ready, though, SPCS? Who do you guys have? Is it TBH, IDEK, or Eternal Big Chungus for this next map of Atlas? It's gonna be so exciting, Juana. Let's do a quick prediction here. Let's have chat up on one side of us and the other. Who do you got here?
It's really hard. I think I'm gonna go with TBH, right? I think that momentum is on their side. I think that they've kind of figured out what EBC is trying to do to counter them. I think it's going to be really hard for EBC to come back into this.
Hey, as a Pokemon fan, I'm sorry, Eternal Big Chungus, but I gotta lean forward on TBH because I'm on the side of TBH right now. So I gotta stay truth to this TBH squad here. But here we go. Atlas, map 7. With Eternal Big Chungus and TBH, IDEK, SPCS, who is ready for this map 7 of the Rookie Division Grand Final? It all starts now with TBH, IDEK, and Eternal Big Chungus rolling out the spawn doors.
Yeah, and we're going to see, once again, pretty similar compositions. A little bit different on the flex support, a little bit different on the hit scan.
All right, the first fight here taken on here up in Atlas. Rias able to get one up onto Orion. You don't want to lose that first pick there up in that first huge battle to get that first point unlocked in your favor. But TBH, they're working well, Juana, as Q-Man gets one up onto the Tsar.
Yeah, and that was a pretty quick and decisive fight, right? Once they killed the Reaper, it becomes much harder to stay in that fight because you don't have that big source of burst damage in order to be able to burn these beefy targets down.
All right, here we go. The Lucio's working well here for both of the two squads. TBH, IDEK. Let's see what happens here for this next set fight. They have this percentage building up in their favor. Eternal Big Chungus, though, they lose Churd as Rias is still amplifying the pressure up on each and every opponent's shoulders. But Orion, they want to find some answers, and Rias back up on the Duncan. It's a little back and forth. It's flip-flopping here, but Rias says no to the whole entire thing. Rias once more in TBH, leading this fight for their org.
Yeah, and these fights have been happening so quickly, right? These Reapers are getting in, they're executing kills pretty fast, right? And even as we say that, right, we are getting, very, very close to the danger zone of Eternal Big Chungus being able to get into this first point.
All right, here goes Q-Man, ready to go with the ultimate. They gotta be careful, though. Up on both of the two sides, Reaper Blossoms almost up here for both of them. Churd, though, getting the pick up on the Finks. TBH, getting the pick, though, back up on the Churd. Very, very interesting as Duck able to find a huge Graviton Surge there up onto Eternal Big Chungus. But the Kiriko getting out here, but the Kiriko doesn't get out because the Lucio is right there to get the melee. And here we go, TBH fans. This is all of what you want to see. This TBH squad building back up in here to start us off on Atlas to get this secondary point in the Flashpoint map now activated.
Yeah, and I think this second point is going to be really telling here, right? TBH was able to build up on those ults, a bit faster than EBC on this fight. EBC needs to be able to come in and use their ults aggressively to get some percentage going on this point.
All right, Orion with the Reaper Blossom. This could be very, very deadly depending upon how they want to position this one. Let's see how that Graviton is used here. As a Kitsune Rush getting used here by Duncan in the side of EBC. Will they pop any more ultimates? Oh, the Grav is getting used, and this will be good usage, but you also get to see the Reaper Blossom, and it doesn't find much. Now Eternal Big Chungus flipping this one up in their favor as all the kills up in the kill feed showing up blue against TBH.
Yeah, and crucially, EBC is able to use some discretion there. They don't pop the override protocol. They don't pop the beat. So they're going to have some tools to work with to get themselves continuing to pick up percentage points on this second point here.
All right, the Emery ultimate ready to go here from Churd. Dire Raven as well on this Eternal Big Chungus squad, also ready to go. This is getting contested by TBH IDEK right now. They gotta be careful here, especially if you're Duncan. Churd popping, but gets read by Rias. Good work there by Rias and TBH. And I mean, you're just getting to see it more and more and more. The backline of TBH following up onto Eternal. As Finks with 2 on Eternal, and I think that stops it. That's gonna be flipping. And Finks with TBH, they're rolling over Eternal.
Yeah, and that's just really difficult, right? I like the setup that EBC had there. I like the overclock, the override protocol that they went for. I think maybe you should have invested the beat to try and help Churd maintain that, because I think with the beat, you would have had the throughput to be able to clean up some of those kills.
Oh, here goes the grab. Could this be big? But the beat here from Dire Raven in the window also getting used too. They gotta be careful here if you're TBH. Oh, but Churd, Rias up on the Churd. Rias still alive, has the Death Blossom enabled. Will they be popping that Death Blossom or will they hold it? Oh, wait, pretend back. All right, good choice there to not be using that. 67% here for TBH IDK.
Yeah, judicious on the side of Rias there. I think it looked pretty juicy. I think it might have been a trap if he had pressed Q. Good discipline on him to save that.
Absolutely. Here we go. Churd and Eternal looking good here right now, but they read the scenario here from Finks. Here goes TBH with the one ult that tried saving them against Rias, but hey, I think it's working well for them because Eternal Big Chungus, they're in the lead right now at this moment as they're putting that constant pressure to the Zarya, but they're using the Kitsune Rush here up on the point. They gotta be careful now here because they just used 2 important ultimates there up in that last fight.
Yeah, I don't know that I love the Kitsune. It seemed like that fight was going to be won, pretty much no matter what. And that's, ult economy in these fights can swing on a dime. And if you are using your ults, unjudiciously, it can really bite you in the butt.
All right, here we go. Let's see if it does bite them. Eternal Big Chungus and TBH matched up here, 1-1. Oh, the grab here. Oh, this could be deadly, as you are getting to see a pick here. Follow up on the TBH. It's a 5v4 scenario. What can TBH do here with this 4-player man roster? Eternal Big Chungus, they got ult ready to go up in their ultimate economy with Churd. But if you're looking at TBH, they don't have anything just yet.
Yeah, hopefully Churd can make some good use out of this override protocol here. He'll have to hit a big one if he wants to keep his team in the fight here after already losing the first pick.
Ooh, such a big immortality as Duckwoo able to follow up onto Churd. TBH, IDEK sitting in a good spot here, especially in the scenario of them flipping this flashpoint for themselves. Eternal Big Chungus now getting stopped here in the point percentage, building on forward for TBH, IDEK.
Yeah, now TBH is the person is the team in pole position, right? They have the grab, they have the Baptiste ultimate, and EBC doesn't really have much of an answer for any of those yet.
Let's see what happens here. This next fight might be the one to change the tides and turn the tables. It's Orion coming up close here to that Reaper Blossom, as Orion putting some pressure up onto Human, as they do force the immortality, and they're not getting much value off the window, but it seems to be TBH. They're still going to have this point in their favor. As Eternal Big Chungus, they lose Orion and Finks. Wonderful kill there, and I gotta say, Eternal Big Chungus, they might not be able to get back up onto this.
Yeah, and Orion, really was hoping to get out there. He used all of his cooldowns to be able to get out. I think they should be able to get a touch here. And it's not, the end of the world. They were able to get up some of the ults from TBH in that fight.
Okay, overtime now taken here. Rias getting up on the Dire Raven. The point is flipped, and that is good. But look at Rias up on the Churd. Rias up on the Duncan. That is 2 picks here for this TBH IDEK squad. And Finks following up here, up in the DPS line. These 2 DPS highlighted players have been showing up on this Atlas map here. The territory now shifting for TBH as it is map point in Atlas.
Yeah, and going into this, you have some good ults on both sides, right? You still have that Death Blossom you haven't been able to make use of. You have beat on both sides. It really will come down to execution here. Who is able to execute? Who is able to aim better? Who is able to
Orion
go forward?
Huge Reaper Blossom there from Orion. Churd following up on the 1. And I mean, Eternal Big Chungus. Now this is the time to stop TBH, and they're doing it well. They're going to start this 4th consecutive flashpoint in their hands.
Yeah, this is, the beginning of what could be EBC's comeback story.
Yeah, who knows? What can EBC do here, and what are they capable of? Dire Raven ready to go with that Beat Matrix. You're also getting to see that grab almost charged up here. Churd also almost ready to go. TBH, IDEK. I mean, the Emre battle in between both the 2 squads have just been perfection. But let's see. Oh, it's going to be interesting. The Beat getting popped, both up on sides. But Orion and Churd finding the picks that they most definitely need to keep this Eternal Big Chungus squad possibly alive here as TBH. IDEK, they do have something working for them as Finks finds one up on the Churd, but Finks gets picked by Orion, blind up on the Dire Raven. And Orion taking out the Lucio. TBH, IDEK, they do use this grab, and I think this is going to haunt them.
Yeah, I think that's a poor decision from them. I also will say, I noticed Blind's beat was really late in that fight. I think that if Blind is and feels a little bit more confident to go in and beat a little bit earlier, that fight might have gone a totally different direction.
And here we go, chat. This is all to what determines this whole entire series, the last Flashpoint consecutive map on this Atlas map pick. TBH, IDEK, and Eternal Big Chungus looking extremely good here for this next fight. Churd wants to go extremely quick, applying some damage up in the TBH's line. What can TBH do to answer back, as it's more likely that Eternal will be able to have this one in their hands first?
Yeah, and while they don't really get the kills that they were looking for, they do get a huge positioning advantage as we are heading into this fight.
Oh, look at Orion. This is a deadly threat here up on Eternal. The Kitsune Rush getting popped here by Duncan. But you also get the CQ man pop in the window. Not finding as much value, but Rias able to... Oh, Churd Rias. Oh, yeah, the kill feed looking good here. All up in blue. Eternal Big Chungus still living, but it's going a lot back and forth. And Eternal Big Chungus, they live forward.
Like, this is about as close as you can get. And honestly, I think that if you are EBC right here, like, you are thrilled with how that fight went, right? You didn't use your grab. You still have your Reaper ult, right? And ultimately, you are now on the verge of becoming champions of SPCS.
Oh no, oh no, here goes Rias. Rias wants to put some damage in up for TBH, but it doesn't go well. 76% and counting. Dire Raven and the Lucio of TBH popping beats. You're also getting to see the kill feed still show up in blue, but Orion, Eternal Big Chungus, it's all blue. Red's not coming back, and I think this overtime is very much dead here as Eternal Big Chungus, they're still fighting some people up on the points, but TBH, I think the fight is done. It is all over to say and done with. Eternal Big Chungus being your Rookie Division Grand Final champions.
Yeah, what an insane series, right? Both of these teams, went to war today and put everything that they had into this match, right? They went back and forth. We saw incredible things from both teams. We saw incredible performances, individual performances from each of these players. And at the end of the day, ultimately, EBC has just that little bit extra to put them over the top.
Yeah, and EBC, what a story this is. The last 2 games that they played against the squad of TBH, they lost in a 3-0 sweep fashion, and having them consist, like if it's Rocky fighting Apollo, staying alive up in the ring, Eternal Big Chungus stays alive against TBH in the grand final and wins it for EBC. Rookie Division champions here. Eternal Big Chungus against TBH. If we're talking MVPs, who do we got up on mind? I know that I already got one. I got to see some crazy performance from a player, but if you had to say a couple names, who would you have to say?
Yeah, honestly, I think Orion played, lights out throughout the series. Davion also, got to give a lot of props to him. I honestly don't think that there was a weak link on this team. I think that all of these players, right? If there was any of these players that could have been a weak link, I think they would have lost the series. I think the series would have been a different result. I think it took every single one of these players on this team stepping up and playing their game and playing, lights out in order to be able to win. So it's really hard. I think for me, it would either be Orion or Davion, though.
Oh, Orion getting this one here. For the Snorlax fans out there. Hey, you know what? I'll say, with the team rocking this logo of Snorlax, they weren't sleepy at all. They were, they were munching down, right, at their keyboards, playing the game. But they were focused. They were extremely focused, and they got the win for EBC. Absolutely wonderful showing here from Orion.
Absolutely. I wonder, they must have found the Poke Flute somewhere to wake up this sleeping giant, but he has awakened, and he is here, and he is here to stay, and they are champions.
Yeah, it's such a great one to see. I'm smiling after this. I'm so happy that we pushed this series to a map 7. It's been such a fun one casting with you, Anna. As, casting these grand finals since I started here up in SPCS, it's just been getting better and better here as a caster. So I want to thank the whole entire community, actually. And I also want to thank our production tonight, Layla and VGL Bobcat. You guys absolutely cooked here. But Eternal Big Chungus, what a squad this is, as this Rookie Division is so happy for Eternal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, really big shout out, not just EBC, but everybody in Rookie this season. Everybody played, their hearts out, and everybody committed, week in, week out. And, always remember that you guys matter. You guys are the lifeblood of this community. And we always appreciate you guys. We always love all of the effort, all of the passion you guys put into this community.
Yeah, it was such an exciting one. I can't believe it ends already for the rookie division, but there's so much more action to be seeing in SPCS here in the next couple days as we got the intermediate division and also the advanced division here in the rest of this week. So still very much things to say as it's just going to be something. I believe our production said something about semifinals, if that's correct. Intermediate semifinals. So definitely tune in to that one. That will be coming up in our next couple of days here up on the SPCS Twitch here. But what a road this has been for all the teams in the rookie division, especially these two. Let's actually just take a look at this bracket one more time and their match performance as the bracket. It's all done and complete. You get to see TBH all sweep the winners uppers, and then now you're facing a team that has gone down in the lower bracket, taking tension up on their shoulders and throwing it right off. And I think something that I didn't even highlight was the lower semifinals against Nemesis, where Eternal Big Chungus made it to a map 7 and could have lost that. But here they are now, proving a point that, hey, we played a map 7 down up in the lower bracket, and we're familiar with this position, but TBH, they're not so much familiar. So, Eternal Big Chungus, what a well-done job this is for a squad that has been built for this Series 4. But TBH, once more, again, having this squad be dominant since week 2 of SPCS and driving all the way into this playoff scene, making it to the grand final, having an undefeated record. It is absolutely astonishing. Absolute masterclass performance here. Complete aura, glazing the rookie division. Map set here. What a map road that we took here from all of these maps that were picked. I could shed a tear right now because this is just beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think, you could hire a bunch of professional writers. I don't think they could have written a better script than we had for tonight with these two teams, really going back and forth, trading blow for blow, Vegeta versus Goku, God versus Satan, these two titans of our rookie division gave it their all tonight.
Yeah, I think we gotta do something here though, and I know what it is. We gotta wrap it up. So, yes guys, Eternal Big Chungus moving on here as your rookie division grand final champions, but your runner-ups, TBH, IDEK. I am Naya, your play-by-play of tonight in Wana, doing the color commentary action. We are so thankful that you all tuned in to this broadcast. Very much appreciated to all of you guys in the community. But yeah, I am Naya, that's Wana, and we will catch you guys soon and later for some more SPCS Series 4 action.